and a foreign language, not English. And the main purpose of it is that Roger Goodall, who is a liberal idiot to the extreme. I mean, this guy's got Trump derangement syndrome times infinity. In fact, he may be one of the first sufferers of it, being such a wokester. But what they were trying to convince Americans of with the Bad Bunny halftime show was this: that America has fallen and been conquered and is a Spanish-speaking Hispanic country now. That's what that was all about. That's what they were trying to do. It is textbook propaganda. 100% propaganda. That's exactly what we saw in that halftime show. Because now, if Donald Trump had not won re-election and the Autopin administration of Joe Biden's continued, or God help us, Willie Brown's girlfriend, Kamala Harris, had become president, yeah, the country would have been conquered. This country, with the illegal border invasion, wasn't just being invaded with a very violent invasion, if you look at the crime stats and everything that was going on with that. But the country, and I've talked about this a lot, what they were doing was colonizing this country. That's right. And they do have some colonies around, like Minneapolis with the Somali pirates up there with the Leering centers and such. But Donald Trump stopped it. He stopped the invaders, stopped the colonizers in their tracks, and there have been massive deportations by the millions going on, not just through ICE, Border Patrol, Tom Homan, and the Department of Homeland Security, but an unknown amount of self-deportations have taken place. And how many people have not come here? We're about 9 months, maybe 10 months in, to not a single illegal border crossing at the southern border. President Trump not only has shut down the illegal border crossings at the southern border, he stopped almost all of the illegal drugs coming into the country. By sea, it's almost 100%. Mid to high 90% cut off of drugs by sea. The percentage cut off by land, well, that has to be in the 90 percentile as well, since the illegals were bringing drugs with them, hidden all over them. But no, this country has not fallen. We were not conquered and not colonized by the Spanish speakers. Now, to Bad Bunny and people that are Bad Bunny fans and all of this, they think that this is a Spanish-speaking country now, right? They think that we have been conquered and that the United States has been assimilated by Spanish speakers. They're wrong, but why do they think that? Why do they think that? Well, the reason they think that is because they are segregationists who are living a segregated life. And what I mean by that is they live in a Spanish world, right? And, I watched the Turning Point USA All-American halftime show, but I also watched Bad Bunny's. I did not watch the Super Bowl. I first watched Bad Bunny's halftime with some clips on social media, but then I went and watched it because to talk about it, I have to have watched it. I can't criticize something or critique something I haven't watched. So I watched it so you don't have to. And I almost did not watch it, but how could I sit here and criticize something I haven't seen? And I'm glad I did, because I picked up a lot of things from it that I'll talk about as the show goes on. This was a big mistake by Trump-hating liberal wokester Roger Goodall at the NFL. And Bad Bunny has done MAGA such a great favor here, and all these people involved are too stupid to realize it. I saw with the dancers, as an example, the dancers that were there with Bad Bunny, one of them was the actor that plays the Mandalorian, liberal idiot. Terrible thing. He hasn't been inside that Mandalorian suit for a long time, but he still gets credit for it. They've got that Mandalorian movie coming out, Bad Time, to go out and trash our country. But because they live in a world where everyone speaks Spanish, in a completely segregated world, they think everybody does. And that's just not the case. This country was the invasion and colonization and conquering was stopped dead in its tracks by President Trump's reelection. He's done incredible work after just 1 year. But this was a propaganda attempt to make you think that Trump not only has failed, but that the majority of the people are behind him. And I watched 3 things involving the halftime. I did not watch the Super Bowl or watch it live, and I didn't watch it on purpose. I went out of my way not to watch the Super Bowl. And my wife's a big football fan, and for my wife not to watch the Super Bowl, and it was her idea before mine to not watch it, that says a lot because she's a hardcore football fan. And but I watched the Turning Point halftime show. I watched online the Bad Bunny performance, which was very unimpressive. But I also watched on X, and you can see footage of this, of people in the stands who made videos in the stands during the halftime. And this was fascinating to me because Bad Bunny, if you watch the Bad Bunny performance, you hear people cheering and getting all excited. But if you watch the people that made videos sitting in the stands, it's silence in the stands. It's silence. The people in the stands, they were not cheering, they were not applauding, they were not dancing along. Any audio you hear of people cheering, that's from the performers down on the field. And what was going on in the stands of the Super Bowl was, in effect, a somewhat silent protest against Bad Bunny and what Roger Goodell has done. And you know, President Trump's very famous for saying everything woke turns to you know what that is. I'm not going to say it right now, although I can. I'm not going to use the word. And he's right. And I know many of you have seen the footage that people took in the stands at the Super Bowl during the halftime too, because it's all over X. They were silent. And it's really amazing how this silent protest of people that paid, I don't know, how much were Super Bowl tickets going for? In the so-called, even in the cheap seats, if there's any such thing at a Super Bowl, that people paid so much money. What was the average Super Bowl ticket this year? I don't know. They're outrageously expensive, right? That people that paid thousands of dollars, even more than just thousands, it could have been tens of thousands, depending on where they are, they took a moment at a ticketed event that they paid through the nose for to give a silent protest to the event that they paid so much to go to during that halftime. I don't think anything like that's ever happened before. And good for them. I was pretty proud of those people when I saw that video. It's pretty cool. I don't know how much of that you're going to see in the news because it does not fit their narrative. You know, our athletes over this past weekend have done, it's been at the Olympics have been disgracing this country. We have these anti-American Team USA Olympians, 3 of them trashing the United States openly, 2 over ICE, 1 over gay rights, which I didn't quite get. And then we have 1 American girl of Chinese descent who was born in San Francisco, California, who's playing for the CCP. She's on the Chinese Olympic team, right? So we have these disgraces going on with the Olympians, and then we have this with the NFL. Well, you know, here's the thing about President Trump and the MAGA movement. When there are things that you think that would bring it down or depress a group of people, we take those moments and we turn them into a positive. And I've got this, what I think is a pretty brilliant idea, and I'd be shocked if this didn't happen. President Trump has said that he is going to have rallies all year long, that this midterm election season, that President Trump has said this, as his chief of staff, Susie Wiles, has said, but the president has said it too. They're going to treat this like a presidential election year, with the rallies being back all over the country. Now, this is my idea, and I would be shocked if this did not happen. This great lineup of performers that we had at the Turning Point USA All-American Halftime Show, I see them going on the road with the president for the rallies across the country. It's going to be Trump, the president, will be the headliner, but the opening act being the Turning Point USA All-American Halftime Show. If they do that as the opening act of President Trump at the rallies across America, we will swamp them at the polls like nobody's business. Not only will we win the midterms in the House and the Senate, we'll gain seats, we'll win the governor's races around the country, we'll win the state legislatures around the country, and even local school boards, city and county commissions too. This is what Roger Goodell at the NFL did with and Bad Bunny singing in a language no one understands in the stands, was such a gift to MAGA. You know, this is our 250th anniversary, this country, right? The 250th anniversary of the United States. And Americans don't want to see someone, and I understand he's Puerto Rican, and Puerto Ricans are Americans. However, Americans are not his audience. His audience are Spanish speakers, illegals, and foreigners for the most part. And Bad Bunny. This was a gift to the MAGA movement like you couldn't believe. It really, truly was. Now, the last official count I saw from viewers of the Turning Point USA All-American Halftime Show was around 1 a.m. here on the East Coast. And right there, it was at 25 million. And because they had a lot of partners, it wasn't just on the Turning Point YouTube channel. It was on many other platforms and YouTube channels and things. And the last count at 1 a.m., the official count was 25 million. That number is going to shoot up through the roof. And I'd be surprised if it didn't hit 100 million by the end of, I don't know. Because everyone today is going to be talking about this. You know, the Super Bowl, a lot of people have suggested that Super Bowl weekend should be a holiday weekend. You know, the Monday after a Super Bowl is almost a national holiday. You go to the parking lots of office buildings all over the country, they'll be empty of cars. A lot of people take off the day after the Super Bowl. A lot of people call in sick. A lot of people come in late and hungover. But it is Super Bowl weekend. It's a national holiday, and sports, whether it's the Olympics or the Super Bowl, sports are things that bring the country together beyond politics. And what these two events have done, the Olympics and the Super Bowl, they've taken these unifying events, and the left, like they do with everything else, is using them to divide people, because that's what the Democrats do. This Bad Bunny halftime show was a complete act of desperation by the left, by the Never-Trumpers, by the Democrats. 100% Goebbels-like propaganda trying to convince us that this is a Hispanic country. It is not. It is not. Now, so far as the Turning Point USA halftime show, that was a big risk that they took. It had 25 million confirmed views officially at 1 a.m. Eastern time. But we knew it would have a few million, but this many? And it's only just begun, because everyone's going to be talking about this today. People that didn't catch it last night are going to watch it, and people are going to watch it again and again and again. And it's going to rack up views. People are going to be sharing it all over their social media. Although, for some reason, X, due to some type of copyright or trademark or something, would not allow it to be live streamed on X. I've not seen any official explanation as to why that is. I don't get it. But the 25 million number was without it streaming on X. But the only one of the acts that I had heard of before was, of course, Kid Rock. But that entire lineup they had, those were spectacular performers, weren't they? I was blown away. In particular, the opener. You know, I'm not a big follower of country music. I never have been. I don't dislike country music, but I don't buy it. I don't listen to it. When I hear songs, I'm like, oh, that's good. But that performer that opened the show, he was spectacular, man. I was blown away by his music. It was out of this world good. They were all great. Kid Rock, I'd not seen Kid Rock perform in a long, long time, and Kid Rock hasn't lost a beat, has he? He was doing an incredible job. Now, we will be taking your calls. If you'd like to call in, the number's toll free and is in the live chat, 888-465-2631. This was last night after the show. Brian Kilmeade, listen to this. Now that's live. So they had 10 million live. Yeah. Yeah, and this is a lot. Brian Kilmeade's a sports fanatic, and he's saying that too. The thing about Green Day, big mistake on Green Day's part. Green Day, Green Day is a Gen X band. I saw them over the weekend because they've been in the news because they were doing that pre-show. They look so old. They dye their hair. It looks like they got shoe polish hair. People dyeing their hair, especially when it's black, it looks so ridiculous. You got to have some gray in there, or it looks like what it is. Doesn't it look like shoe polish in their hair? And they're very old. They're a Gen X band, and they're my age or older. And what Green Day did was so stupid and such a wasted opportunity. If Green Day, Green Day came out with their anti-MAGA, anti-ICE, anti-Trump hate, they, in their mind, they think they're going to pick up some of these young viewers from Bad Bunny. Well, first off, the Bad Bunny fans they're not interested in the English language. So you got one. But Green Day is a band of the Generation X generation, my generation, Gen X. They're basically an oldies band at this point, Green Day. And the Bad Bunny fans that they're trying to get are not interested in some oldies band with shoe polish hair dye. If they would have come out, Green Day, and had a pro-American song, a pro-Trump song, a pro-ICE song, a pro-MAGA song, they would be selling music like nobody's business today. And what Green Day has not done is, they don't have new fans. People my age remember Green Day when they were a top act, and they have not grown with their audience. Gen X, the Green Day core audience, is MAGA. And Green Day, they had a great opportunity to be relevant again for the first time since 90 whatever 4, and they blew it. It's what a joke. It shows how stupid the American idiots. That's Green Day. They're the American idiots. Okay, they're so stupid. And if they would have reworked their song to be pro-American during these, this MAGA time, everyone in the MAGA movement would be adding them to their playlist and downloading their songs on Spotify today. They would have made millions of dollars. But what they did was, there's so many bad business decisions. You know, Roger Goodell, this liberal jerk who brought Bad Bunny to the halftime, this is one of the worst business decisions someone has ever made, and it's one of the biggest political mistakes ever made as well. You know, there's all these moments, I call them inflection moments, of things that happen that in the left with President Trump. If you're on hold, by the way, stand by. I got a couple things I want to get off my chest, and we'll take some calls. If you'd like to join in, the number is toll free. It's pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631. Your views on this, regardless of your viewpoint, certainly are welcome, but no profanity, please. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you're watching. There's these inflection points, right, that have turned people towards Trump. And, you know, President Trump was going to win the midterm elections no matter what. And the Democrats knew this, and they got into a panic. They had an anxiety attack. The Never-Trumpers were freaking out. So when their internal polling told them that President Trump was unbeatable in the last presidential election, what did they do? Butler, Pennsylvania. Butler, Pennsylvania. And Butler, Pennsylvania was a big inflection point, a turning point. And when Butler happened, people said they really are after this guy, because everyone knows that the Never-Trumpers shot the president in Butler, just like they assassinated Charlie Kirk. And when the Never-Trumpers shot President Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania, that was the turning point that red-pilled millions of Americans immediately. Everyone knows what happened. It was the only Trump rally that CNN carried. They carried it live. They didn't carry any of the other rallies live. It was also the only rally where President Trump came out on time, on the dot. And there's many other things, too. I'm not going to go through everything in Butler. But everybody knows the Never-Trumpers are behind the assassination attempts of President Trump and the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And that was an inflection point, a turning point that woke people up. This Bad Bunny NFL show last night is another inflection point, turning people to the MAGA movement and red-pilling Americans. Second to Butler, I mean, Butler was the big one, but this is another major inflection point where people are like, whoa, what's going on here? You know, that's the country they were turning us into, a Spanish-speaking country. You know, and to me, this isn't about Bad Bunny. I don't care about Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny, you know, whenever there's big acts that are hot at the time, not classic acts at the Super Bowl, most of them fade away. This is about the Never-Trumpers and Roger Goodell and the Democrats, because they're the ones that hired Bad Bunny. They're the ones who made that choice. They're the ones who sat around at some big conference room somewhere and made the decision to do this for whatever purpose. So as Bad Bunny is, it's not about Bad Bunny. It's about the Never-Trumpers and the Democrats and the left and what they did, because they did this. And it was a big, big mistake, because Americans are plenty ticked off about this. It was so disrespectful. When you put that together with these anti-American Olympic athletes during this 250th anniversary year of our great country, it's too much. And Kid Rock and Turning Point USA did such an incredible job at the Turning Point USA All-American halftime show on top of it. If the performances weren't so out of the park, you know, if the performances had been bad, it would have been maybe another story. But the performances were through the roof exciting, weren't they? And this halftime show is going to become an American tradition with Turning Point, I would imagine. You know, so this was another one of those inflection points, turning points, so to speak, of turning more people towards MAGA. And not only that, with this, you know, here we are in the beginning of our midterm election season, And what this has done is rallying the MAGA movement back together to the importance of this midterm. A lot of times when midterm elections come around, people get too comfortable and too confident and think, hey, we got nothing to worry about. We got this in the back. People are waking up now and say, well, wait a minute. What are they doing? Boy, oh boy. So this election, this midterm election, we will win it if we swamp them at the polls like we did in the presidential election. If we have a massive voter turnout, we will win. We will win bigly. Not only will we win, we'll gain seats in both Congresses and win throughout the states as well. That's it, And motivating us together, these great American musicians from the Turning Point halftime show, going on tour with the president at Trump rallies throughout the country, that's going to give us Trump rallies like we've never seen before. It really will, and the Trump rallies are always spectacular, and we love them. But with the Turning Point USA All-American halftime show as the opening act to the president coming out, it doesn't get better than that. What are the numbers going to be for the Trump rallies this election season with Kid Rock and the crew being the opening act? Everyone's going to watch them. Everyone. And you know what? They're going to be so widely watched, they're going to carry them on television, even though they don't want to, because they want the ratings. Now, this is the pre-show for the radio show. The radio show will start in a few minutes, so if you're on hold, hang in there. I'm going to take calls when the radio show starts. If you are on hold, stand by. If you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free, no matter where you are watching. It's 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. I want to remind all of you that this early morning show, the program, all of my content is sponsored by Mike Lindell at MyPillow. The mega sales going on right now. Huge savings with my promo code Kane at checkout, K-A-N-E. But right now, it's free shipping on every order. You heard me. Free shipping on every order with my promo code Kane. We'll be right back. All right, we're a couple minutes away from the radio show beginning. And of course, this is going to be, the main topic throughout the show today. Although there are other things to cover, and I will get to some other things. And those of you that are new to the program, okay, I'm just getting the exact time. Okay, we got about 2 minutes till the radio show begins. Those of you that are new to the program, I host a morning radio show on a whole bunch of FM and AM radio stations. I live stream here on YouTube while I'm on the radio. So this has been the pre-show. The radio show is beginning in less than 2 minutes. So I'll have to do an opening for the radio show when that begins. And the calls you hear when I take calls are, some are from YouTube, some are listening on other online places, and many of them are listening on a radio station as well. And the toll-free number is pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631. You're welcome to call in regardless of your opinion, but no profanity, all right? Because we are going to be on the radio, so you can't, it's got to be radio-safe language. And I know for many of the liberally impaired people, that's something that's going to be difficult. Now, we have 25 million watch the Turning Point USA All-American Halftime Show as of 1 a.m. Eastern Time. What do you think the number will reach by the end of the week? Or even the end of today? Are we going to hit 100 million on that, you think? What do you guys think? What would be your guess? Or how long will it take to get to 100 million? What would be your guess? Stand by, guys. Less than a minute. Yeah, this is a nice Trump coffee cup that a listener sent me. Pretty cool, huh? A listener sent me this for Christmas. Thank you very much. We got about 30 seconds. Stand by. Oh, man. Yeah, I'm not going to be talking about the Super Bowl. I hate when people talk about the Super Bowl commercials, don't you? I hate that. All right, here we go. Welcome to the program, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest-running radio show on the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. How many of you did not watch the Super Bowl? Curious, I did not. And it was my wife's idea not to watch the Super Bowl last night. Yeah, it was. I was surprised. I wasn't going to watch it anyway. But my wife loves to watch the Super Bowl. My wife loves football. And she says, we're not going to watch this, Garb. We're not going to watch it. I was like, oh, that's awesome. Save me a little suffering. We didn't watch it. And I wonder how many people are in the same position as me. Another thing about it, this halftime show with Bad Bunny was a huge bomb. The Turning Point USA All-American Halftime Show was a major hit. And this is based on the reactions. Social media is starting to fill up with more and more of these videos as time goes on. But early this morning, I was watching videos that people made who were in the stands, who paid thousands of dollars to be at the Super Bowl. And during the halftime show, people took out their iPhones and started filming. The crowd in the stands was silent. Silent. And I mean, the best way to describe it would be it was a massive, unplanned, spontaneous, silent protest against the Bad Bunny halftime show. Any cheering you hear from the Bad Bunny halftime show was piped in by either the performers or just by the special effects crew. Because the crowd in the stand were silent. I've never seen anything like it. That was really amazing. It was almost like one of the silent sit-ins that the Freedom Riders used to do. Except a lot of them were standing. They were standing, but they were standing in silence. And what the NFL did with this halftime show very well will go down in history as one of the biggest blunders in political history, because this was a political move. You know, the purpose of having this halftime show in complete Spanish, a language most Americans don't speak or understand. I took Spanish in high school. I took it in college because it was required. I passed 2 semesters of Spanish, 1101, 1102. I don't speak or understand Spanish, a couple of words here and there. There was a purpose to this, though. So what were the Never Trumpers, the Democrats, Roger Goodall, what were they doing by putting together a halftime show that was 100% in a foreign language? And it's pretty simple. You know, they were trying to give us, and by the way, if you're on hold, stand by. Call us on hold, stand by. We'll go to the phone shortly. They were trying to give us this propaganda impression. It was 100% propaganda, but what they were trying to convince the viewers of was this, that this is a Spanish-speaking country now. That's what it was. That the invasion at the southern border had been successful. The United States had been conquered and colonized by Spanish speakers. And I'm sorry to tell you, what they were attempting to do had an opposite effect. If you read the articles of everything about both halftime shows, Bad Bunny and the Turning Point halftime show, you're not hearing anything positive about the Bad Bunny show. And, you know, this is not about Bad Bunny. This is about the Never Trumpers, the Democrats, and Roger Goodall, and what they were trying to do. And this was a desperate attempt by the Never Trumpers, which is a coalition of Republican Never Trumpers, Democrats, and other associated lunatics. This was a desperate attempt to try to kick off the midterm election season to discourage the conservative vote and to rally their base of support together. And the opposite is going to happen because of this. You know, the Turning Point, I watched both halftime shows, okay? I watched the Bad Bunny one this morning before I went on the air. And the reason I watched it is because I'm talking about it. I can't watch, criticize, or critique something I haven't seen. So I watched it so I could talk about it. Or one thing, a lot of people like me in the media will have watched it like I did, because you have to watch it to talk about it. And a lot of people will say, I watched it so you didn't have to. You know, I'm sure a lot of people are going to say that today. So I don't want to use that old phrase. But I watched both halftime shows. I was blown away by the Turning Point USA All-American halftime show. Other than Kid Rock, I have never heard of any of these other performers. I've never heard any of their music, even unknowingly. They were spectacular. That was 100% American music, and they knocked it out of the park. You know, when they announced who the performers were going to be, since I didn't know, other than Kid Rock, who the others were, I didn't know how it was going to turn out. Turning Point USA took a big risk, as did Kid Rock. The Turning Point USA All-American Halftime Show, as of 1 a.m. Eastern Time, the official number was 25 million viewers. And that didn't even include all the viewing partners they had, because some television did carry it, and it didn't include the television ratings. And that was at 1 a.m. The numbers are going up constantly because people are watching it and rewatching it. Okay? If the performances didn't knock it out of the park, it would have been a whole nother story. But that was great American music last night. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with American music or being American or being proud of being an American, contrary to what the left will tell you. Now, in the world of Bad Bunny and the people that are fans of his, they do think that this country has been taken over by Spanish speakers because they live a ethnically, language segregated existence where they live in a Spanish-speaking world. So since everyone they know speaks Spanish, they think it's a Spanish-speaking country. That is not the case. I remember in ninth grade when I took Spanish, my teacher, Miss Wilkes, ninth grade in high school, it was like 1985, she told me that if I didn't speak Spanish by the year 2000, I was not going to be employable in Florida. Well, it's 2026, and I think things turned out okay. Sorry, Miss Wilkes. But, but she was a Spanish speaker. When you live in a Spanish-speaking bubble where everyone speaks Spanish and you only go to Spanish-speaking businesses and such, you think that the country's been taken over and conquered and colonized. There has not been an illegal border crossing in 9 or 10 months now from the southern border. Not only has President Trump stopped the illegal invasion of this country, he's reversed it with the millions of deportations and self-deportations that have taken place that are continuing even now as I'm speaking to you. If Joe Biden had another term or Kamala Harris had become president instead of Donald Trump in the last election, yeah, every Super Bowl in the future would be in Spanish. And we'd have to all learn it because that would become the national language. Because we were being invaded, we were being conquered, and we were being colonized by the illegals. All of that has been stopped. And I really hope to see President Trump in his rallies throughout this midterm election season, because he said this is going to be like a presidential election year. I hope he brings with them this halftime act that Turning Point USA had. Can you imagine what Trump rallies will be like if Kid Rock leads the Turning Point USA All-American halftime show players on the road with him as the opening act to the Trump rallies? Oh my goodness. What Roger Goodell did with Bad Bunny was rally this country against the left yet again, just like after the Never Trumpers shot the president in Butler, Pennsylvania. We're going to take our first break of the week. My name is Brian. This is Florida's longest running radio show. I want to remind you that the huge sales are going on at MyPillow.com with our promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at checkout. You guys know that. It's the mega sale. And you know how great all those MyPillow products are. So huge savings site-wide, but it is free shipping on all orders. Every order during this mega sale is free shipping, no matter how large, no matter how small. Free shipping on every order during the mega sale. So this is your time. Go to MyPillow.com. This free shipping offer will end without notice. It's promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E, at MyPillow.com. You can also order by phone, toll-free, 1-800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879. Promo code KANE, K-A-N-E. We'll be right back. All right, we're clear. All right, we're in radio station break right now. So if you're on hold, stand by. If you'd like to call in, the number is pinned in the live chat. All right, so 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. On a scale of 1 to 10, you guys can let me know in the chat, the Turning Point USA All-American Halftime Show. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, what number would you give that performance? I'd give it a 10, no doubt. When I'm watching a group of musical acts, none of which other than Kid Rock I've ever heard of before, and I haven't followed Kid Rock's music, but I know who he is and I like him. When you have, to me, it's like I'm watching bands on The Voice or American Idol, meaning, groups I've never heard of, seen before, never even heard any of their music. And when they're that good, when you don't know them, that says a lot, doesn't it? It really does. Yeah, seeing a lot of 10s, absolutely a lot of 10s. All right, we'll take a quick break and be right back. All right, we'll be back shortly. We're still in radio station break, guys, so hang in there. Let's see, we are going to be back. And let me check the time. Hold on. Okay, less than 90 seconds, we'll be back. But you guys know what I mean. You know, when you go and see a bunch of musicians, you don't know their music and you never heard of them, and you're blown away, that's top tier, A-list quality talent, isn't it? Music you've never heard before, sung by people you've never heard of. That's how it was for me. Now, Kid Rock, I mean, we all know who Kid Rock is, but I don't know his music. I haven't heard him or seen him in a video or anything in years. I've seen him many years ago, you know, when he was kind of new, and it was, okay, he's good. So I knew he'd be good, but not that good. I mean, he knocked it out of the park too. But to see people I've never heard of and never heard any of their music, not familiar with them, and be so impressed, to me, that takes it to a whole nother level. Okay, we got about 30 seconds. Oh, stand by, guys. Here we go. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning, Brian. This is Richie.
Oh, hey, Richie.
I'm going to break. How you doing today? I'm going to break this down.
All right, hold on. Give me a moment here. The phones are ringing off the hook. All right, you're going to break it down. Go ahead.
Break it down very simply for all the women and the guys who never watch football, who all of a sudden, yesterday, they went to Costco's, they bought their football, chocolate football. They went to Publix, they bought everything else.
Yeah.
See, it's not like any other game. It's an American tradition. It's not even a sporting event.
It's probably the most American. It probably is the most. It's like Thanksgiving. Everybody does it.
Yeah, but it's like New Year's, like you say, the amateurs are out on the street, don't go out. You have parties that are going on where people that don't ever watch football, they don't even watch the game. They're interested in gossip, eating food, talking, and everything else.
Yes.
I mean, you know, it's get-togethers. So the bottom line is this. The game was awful. It was one-sided. Roger Goodell is a left-wing hack who has Jay-Z picking the entertainment. Jay-Z's the guy. He's contracted.
Yep.
And it's just a disgusting situation because most people, I turned on the Turning Point because I refuse to watch anything like this. And to make it really, to bring it home to everybody, there's certain states in this country that are woke, that are left-wing. Two of them are Portland, Oregon, and the other is Washington, the state of Seattle. And when I see
you left out Minneapolis. You left out Minneapolis.
Yeah, and New England, but New England, some parts of New England are not, you know? So I look at it, I know Roger Goodell, when he got up there at the end of the game and he gave the award, they cheered him. This is the first time. They boo him everywhere else.
Yeah.
So you know Seattle got their prize.
Yeah.
And they got their woke garbage, their anti-American garbage.
Yep.
But it's really anti-American garbage.
Yeah.
I wouldn't watch, you know, and the game stunk. And the ratings are going to be, the game stunk because it was a one-sided, lopsided game. It was really terrible.
Yeah.
And the halftime was pitiful. And the sponsorship that they're going to lose because nobody watched that damn halftime game. I think the numbers are going to come even higher for Turning Point when you get YouTube reruns and everything.
By the time, you know, they had this not just on multiple YouTube channels. It aired on television nationally on different channels and such. When the final numbers come in, it was 25 million as of 1 a.m. Eastern time. We're going to hit 100 million on that easily. And I was talking, Richie, you know, these acts, I'm not even familiar with Kid Rock's music, okay? I remember when he was new and he had some hits, but these other acts, I've never heard them before. I had never heard a note of their music, and I was blown away. When you hear music from people that you've never heard of and never heard their music, and you're like blown away, that's top-tier talent we had there. Top-tier talent.
Yeah, well, the messaging
American
is all about
talent.
hate America.
American country and American rock music.
Right, but this message yesterday was hate America. And you know what, Brian? It went all over the world because Goodell is trying to make this an international sport by trashing America.
Good luck.
He's more worried about everything else. This is a disaster.
Around the world, they're never going to like American. They're never going to follow American football around the world for a number of reasons, including that, people are into the sports they grow up with. But, they're not going to watch a game that stops every 6 seconds with guys wearing all those pads. It's just not going to happen. Football will never make it around the world. But that doesn't mean Roger Goodell can't make. This Super Bowl this week was the rallying cry we needed in the MAGA movement in the midterms. This is going to rally us like nobody's business. Oh yeah.
They spit in our face. I mean, I don't turn on a football game to get lectured by some guy that doesn't speak English. And I'm married, and I'm not a racist. My wife is Spanish. I don't speak Spanish, but it shouldn't be in Spanish, and we shouldn't get lectured by some left-wing hack on a stage. And the other band, by the way, I understand was an anti-American band also.
What, Green Day?
The
Green Day?
Yeah, they hate America.
Yeah,
they're all America haters. So as far as I'm concerned, they could take the NFL and stick it. They don't learn their lesson. They get this woke commissioner. It's just disgusting. Yeah. And it's backfired on them.
Well, the only thing that can stop Roger Goodell is if when football season starts up again, football fans don't watch the games. But people are addicted to football like Hunter Biden's addicted to crack and Russian hookers.
But not like yesterday's game was people that never watch. And that's why it's like New Year's when you always say the amateurs are out. They drink once a year.
Yeah.
You had people that watched this game yesterday that never watched a football
Or you
game.
go to church on Easter and the parking lot's overflow and you can't find a seat. People go to church once a year. It's one of those kind of events. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But this Turning Point halftime show, though, I was talking, if President Trump takes that group as his opening act for the rallies during this election season, we're going to have the biggest rally ratings we've ever had.
Well, they're going to, let me tell you something. Turning Point is going to do it again next year, bigger and better.
Well, that'll be after the election, though. The election will be over by then. Right? That'll be after the election. Yeah, so we got to.
Can you imagine these maniacs in charge? They got a guy up there really quick. They got a guy up there that's anti-ICE, but yet if they talked about eliminating the DEA, they would be cheering. The drug enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because these are all druggies and wackos, man. I'm tired of the anti-American garbage that's built in this country.
You're not alone.
Let's stand up for our flag once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Have a great
All right, take care. Yeah, this is great. If you're on hold, stand by. Oh, hey, listen. It's tax time. Call Jamie Levac over at Swift Tax. He knows taxes. So when I met with Jamie Levac in person at his office, and by the way, he can help you with your taxes no matter where you're located in the United States. He's in Broward County, but even if you're local, you don't have to go to his office. You can do everything with Jamie Levac at Swift Tax over the phone. He can handle everything for you. But when he went over the new tax code with me and started talking to me about it, because the whole tax code's changed with the big, beautiful bill, I was blown away. He knows this tax code inside and out. But something about Jamie Levac at Swift Tax, which also he loves doing taxes. He just loves it. And you want to give him a call. He's going to make sure that you get all the deductions you're entitled to under the law and make sure that you get the maximum refund that you're owed. And with Jamie Levac at Swift Tax, you can get your tax return in as little as 24 hours. This number rings directly to Jamie Levac at Swift Tax. You can call or text 954-773-1587. 954-773-1587. That's 954-773-1587. If you're on hold, stand by. We'll be back right after this. Don't go anywhere. All right, we're clear. If you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free. It is pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631. That's right. All right, guys, we are still in radio break, but I wanted to play a little bit of this. This is Senator Mark Warner. He's Democrat in Virginia. Listen to this. Really, where? Wow. So why, yeah, that makes no sense. Why would you be concerned about ICE being at a polling location, huh? Why would that bother you? You could have all kinds of people, right? You can have TSA agents from the airport at the polling stations. Why would that bother you? They have nothing to do with that. There's only one reason you'd be nervous about ICE at polling stations. Only one. If you're on hold, stand by. We'll go back to the phones. We'll be back in 30 seconds. 30 seconds. We'll be back from the break. The number's toll-free, 888-465-2631. It's pinned in the live chat. These people, they're hopeless and helpless. All right, here we go. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Once, twice. All right, you missed your chance. You know, before we go back to the phones, I wanted to play something for you. This is Mark Warner, the Democrat. He was on Face the Nation with Margaret Brennan yesterday, and he's in a panic. He's talking about election 2026, the midterms. Oh. Wow, ICE patrols at polling stations. Why would that be a concern to Democrats, having ICE around polling stations? You know, you could have at polling stations, I don't know, the TSA people from the airport that you know you go that take you through the to the scanners. So what? So what? Why would anyone be concerned about having ICE agents around polling locations? He goes on. He actually expands on that. Listen. Non-citizens can't vote. Oh, yes, Margaret Brennan. When has ICE discriminated against Latino families? I missed that. Yeah, because they're working with insurrectionists. That's an insurrectionist who's interfering with federal government business, which are the deportations. Yes. In fact, these anti-ICE people should be on no-fly lists, so they have to drive from city to city to protest instead of fly. All right, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Richard in Pompano.
Hey, Richard, what's up?
Okay, I wasn't really that interested in the game, but I turned it on. If it were the Dolphins, I'd really be interested. So I'm watching, and I'm one of those people, I guess. I don't even know who this Big Bunny, Bad Bunny, whatever his name is. I don't even know who he is. And then when he went on the air, and he was, I don't know if you saw it, he grabbed his crotch. Is that allowed?
I did see that. I know. I watched the halftime show this morning online. So and he was on the roof. He got on the roof of this building, and he had his hand on him. Yeah, it was. I thought that was very strange. What was the point of that? Did he have an itch? What was that about?
No, is that even allowed?
Well, he did it. He did it.
Anyway, the whole thing made me just sick. I just turned it off and went back to the news, which is all about the kidnapping. And then I watched a little bit more of the game. It was like a shutout. And then
by the way, on the Savannah Guthrie mother's kidnapping, does it seem that, well, obviously the sister and son-in-law are the prime suspects now in that Guthrie case, right? It looks that way.
It's always like that.
Over 90% of murders are done by somebody in the family. If this was a murder, hopefully she's returned home alive. But the big elephant in the room are illegals in that. I haven't heard anybody mention the possibility of illegals, but they impounded the car of the sister, and then they spent 3 hours Saturday night, at night, the crime scene people busted into the house and did an investigation, and it looked like I saw lights in the garage out front, like they were doing those blood tests inside the garage. They obviously found something in the car that led them to go to the house.
Yeah, they were using luminol.
Luminol, yes.
Or something.
Yeah.
Okay, but what is that fancy way of transporting money? I can't think of the word.
Say that again? Oh,
what is the word for Bitcoin? Like, I have no knowledge of Bitcoin. It's way above my level, even though I'm a college graduate. And so these guys, the kidnappers, have to be sophisticated to really know how to handle that, unless it's simple and I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
Do you know how to handle Bitcoin?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Anybody with a cell phone. Well, if it's the sister and the son-in-law, or the son-in-law and the sister's gotten wrapped up with the sister's covering for her husband, the ransom, the Bitcoin, most murders are not only are most murders committed by people in the immediate circle, but most every single murder is about one of two things. There can be a crossover: sex and money. It's either sex or money. Sometimes it's both. And the Bitcoin ransom, I think it was at $60 million in Bitcoin. That could be a lot of people think that might be a distraction to try to turn things away from them. But in the last video that came out with Savannah Guthrie, with her brother and sister, the sister seemed, a lot of people have noticed this, she just seemed like she was faking it. But you never know. We might find out it was an illegal that did it or something.
Well,
but
they keep saying she's worth $40 million, so $6 million is nothing to her.
Who's worth $6 million? Savannah Guthrie or the mother?
Savannah Guthrie, yeah.
Yeah.
They keep saying she's worth $40 million.
$40 million, so yeah.
I hope they find her safe. Okay,
all right, appreciate the call. But with the Savannah Guthrie siblings, I don't know the brother situation, but with the sister, in a case like that, does the sister seem like she would be envious, jealous of Savannah Guthrie, her sister? I would think so, right? I mean, she's rich and famous, very rich and very famous. And what I've seen from some of the reporting about the sister and her husband, they make a good six-figure living, but they don't have the anywhere near the finances of Savannah. They certainly don't have the fame, although they may get it if the son-in-law did it. And physically, she doesn't look like Savannah Guthrie. Although Savannah Guthrie without makeup, you would not recognize Savannah Guthrie without makeup, would you? So there's no doubt that the sister, to me, probably, and it's human nature to be jealous of her rich, famous, thin sister, right? I mean, that's a human nature thing. and she's pretty rich. How rich, I don't know. I've heard different stories. Last call he said 40 million. I don't know. But the police at least think that the sister and the husband are the prime suspects, because when they got the car from the garage that they impounded, they had a warrant for that. When they took the car from the sister's house a couple days before, and then when they went back to the house, they had a warrant. The sheriff said they had a warrant for the car. So to get a warrant, they had to go to a judge and present some type of evidence to get a warrant to seize a car. And then they had that car for a day or so, and then the next thing you know, they're in the house at night, late at night. Now maybe it's better to do the luminol testing at night with the black lights, I don't know. But to me it would seem that they found something in the car that said, okay, we want to go to the house. And when I saw the cameras in front of the house, you could see lights inside the house. It looked like the lights that the police had inside the sister's house were in the garage. Like they were doing the luminol testing inside the garage. And, but you know, one thing about the blood trail, we're getting a lot of good reporting from Ashley Banfield, even though the mainstream media want to attack Ashley Banfield. She's been doing really good reporting. And her reporting has so far turned out to be accurate. But Ashley Banfield said there was blood inside the house. And she's got a good source. So blood inside the house, blood outside the front door, but that's where the blood stops. There's not a blood trail to the driveway like to a vehicle. So why did the blood stop on the front porch? I don't know. They were looking in that storm drain yesterday. Obviously, they didn't find anything in the storm drain. But something after the police crime scene unit went through the sister's car led them back to the house. So the police think that the son-in-law and or the sister are the primary suspects. There's no getting around it. But you know, this town is, it's a liberal town. I mean, this is like, you know, Savannah Guthrie's mother was because we don't have resolution yet. Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy Guthrie, is a big, big anti-Trump guy. She's posted stuff on Facebook, anti-Trump stuff on Facebook. And Savannah Guthrie is at the Today Show, so, you know, she's liberal. These are never Trumper people, but the community is very liberal. This is where Senator Kelly, who's about to be demoted by Pete Hegseth, and Gabby Giffords live. So this is a very elite liberal town, right? It really is. And my first thought went to illegals, but when you see them going into the sister's house, it's got to lead you to the house. But I've been watching all the press conferences since Friday, because I'm starting to get interested in the Guthrie kidnapping, because now we're getting into, did the sister do it? Did her husband do it, right? Did they do it together? Is the sister covering up for her husband? Who knows? But they're definitely the prime suspects. So now we've got we've got a person of interest at that level, which makes it a little more interesting, because now we got a little bit of a mystery going on here. And the tape, the most recent video that Savannah Guthrie made with her brother and sister, she said some really weird things in it. Let me see. I wasn't going to play this, but since the caller, if you're on hold, hang in there. I wasn't going to play this till later. Let me pull this up, because the most recent video from Savannah Guthrie with her siblings, she said some strange things. Listen. Okay, she said celebration, the only way we'll have peace, and then she says this is very important to us. How does she say it exactly? Let me play it again. This is very valuable to us. I just thought that was a weird thing to say. Don't you? Didn't that seem like a weird thing to say? It was almost like I was wondering if this is a coded response to this latest ransom demand that they got with the $6 million in Bitcoin. It seems to me, And, in a situation like this, and the reason I say illegals, Mexico, how far do you have to go to get to Mexico from there? And kidnapping for ransom is a big thing in Mexico, big thing. And the media, they're so liberal, nobody has even brought this up. They're virtue signaling in the questions they do not ask. But that's got to be on the suspect list. If it wasn't for them taking the sister's car and going to the sister's house, that'd be 100% where my mind would be. But the response that she gave was so strange. And so far as the 6 million in Bitcoin, in a case that's this high profile, no matter how you get paid, how would you, if you could collect the money and not get caught, how would you spend the money? Right? How would you spend the money without getting busted? It's a very strange thing. All right, listen, if you're on hold, stand by. We'll take our last break of the first hour. My name's Brian. This is the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. I want to remind you that the mega sale is going on with free shipping right now at mypillow.com with our promo code Kane at checkout. This is a big deal. Free shipping doesn't come around very often with Mike Lindell, and the free shipping offer on every order, no matter how large or small, the free shipping will disappear without notice. So go to mypillow.com. This is use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. This is the time. Do your not just Valentine's Day shopping, do your Mother's Day shopping, even start your Christmas shopping earlier, because this free shipping offer is very rare at MyPillow. This is the time to load up. So go to mypillow.com, use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. During the mega sale, free shipping on every order, no matter how small, no matter how large. And you can also order by phone toll free, 1-800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879, promo code Kane, Kane. We'll be right back. All right, we are less than a minute from coming back. We're still in radio station break, so stand by, guys. Oh, man, what a mistake they made, huh? The show is flying by. We've been on the air an hour and 20 minutes about. All right, less than 30 seconds. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Florida is the longest running radio show. So, you know, this NFL stunt with Bad Bunny was such a mistake. And, you know, President Trump has the Hispanic American community on his side. This is from CNN a few days ago, a poll done about photo ID being required to vote. Okay, so, I mean, this is really amazing. So they want us to think with Bad Bunny that America has, it's been taken over by Spanish-speaking Latinos, and they are rejecting everything that the MAGA agenda that President Trump gives us. Here we have CNN with a poll, favor photo ID to vote. Whites, and this isn't Republicans, this is across the board, Americans, 85% favor photo ID, 82% of Latinos. So when you factor in the margin of error on these polls, the Latino support of photo ID to vote is the same as the white approval of requiring photo ID to vote. So what does that tell you? That Latinos, for the most American Latinos that are U.S. citizens, that are legally eligible to vote, are MAGA, that support Trump. And then this number, 76% of blacks, that's the highest number ever. That's a complete reversal. Not too many years ago, it was 76% of blacks against. So they can parade around with Bad Bunny all day, all night and tell us that America is over in that camp, that nothing could be further from the truth. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Charles from North Carolina.
All right, Charles in North Carolina. What's on your mind?
Oh, yeah, no, I've listened to you a couple of times, and I appreciate the push to keep dialogue open in our country despite what seems like ever-increasing division. But it's just something that I was thinking about when you were talking about the Super Bowl Bad Bunny versus Turning Point. Like, is this kind of like a side issue? Why is this a big deal for you and for other people? I think there's much more important overarching topics that we should be concerned with.
Oh, yeah? Like what?
Well, I mean, one of them...
I mean, the day after the event, we have the two halftime shows, right? The Turning Point, the NFL one. The morning after the big event of the year, what should we be talking about this morning other than that? That's more important.
Oh, yeah, there's plenty of more important things. But I guess it is like a...
No, what else? You said there were other things. What are these other things? I'm open.
Well, it's something that I've been mulling for a number of years now, as I feel like most people have, and I'm actually surprised in the 2024 election we didn't talk more about it. But, artificial intelligence and the continued rapid ascent of technology.
Well, this is not a program. This is not a tech show. We talk about news and politics. This is not a tech show.
But there's oftentimes, I mean, you have to accept that.
Mainly, what we talk about would be the lack of intelligence that American liberals have. This isn't a tech show. What what would we be talking about involving artificial intelligence today?
You were saying like what else we should talk about or what we should
No. You were critical. No. Excuse me. you were critical of me for my subject matter today, which is the number one story, the top stories in America today, as of this moment, are one, the NFL Bad Bunny halftime show versus the Turning Point USA All-American halftime show. That's number one. The second story in America today is the Savannah Guthrie mother kidnapping story. And you're telling me that I'm talking about things that aren't so important, that there are stories that we should be covering. So you were critical of my choice of stories, the two top stories in America today. So I'm asking you what you think I should be talking about today that's more relevant than the top two trending news stories in the country.
I get your point there. It seems like, our divisions. Do you think that would help with our division in our country?
The country's always been divided 50-50, pretty much. Always.
So you think it's helpful or it's healthy?
Debate, absolutely. Debate is good, yeah.
But, for instance, when you say anti-MAGA people,
yes.
You were talking, like, the tragedy with, the attempted assassination of President Trump.
Yeah, the Never-Trumpers shot him. The Never-Trumpers shot the president in Butler, yes.
Okay, but so you think that was healthy rhetoric?
That's not political debate. That's attempted murder. That's attempted murder.
I agree. No, I agree. But
if you look at the history of violent extremism in this country, it's almost exclusively done by the left. What presidents have been shot? Do you know what presidents have been shot?
What about Tulsa, Oklahoma?
No. We're talking about presidents. What presidents have been shot throughout history?
JFK.
Okay. Name another one. JFK.
MLK was not president.
Hold on a second. What other ones have been shot? Name
McKinley.
all the... McKinley. Who else has been shot?
But, it's hard to overlay our current political...
No. What other presidents have been shot?
To the 1800s.
JFK, McKinley,
Reagan,
Trump. You left out the big kahuna. Lincoln. Right? So, okay. So a Republican. So you've got we have five presidents that have been shot, and I'm not even including we got and Garfield. That's 6 presidents shot. What of the 6 presidents that have been shot, 5 of them are of what political party?
You really think that?
No, excuse me.
Again, like I said,
6 presidents shot. Of those 6 presidents that were shot, 5 of them are of what political party? You can't even say it.
Well, the
Republican. Can you say Republican? Right? 6 were Republican, 1 was a Democrat. So that tells you that the majority of violence against presidents comes from the left. Right?
So you're going to stand by your position that if, for instance, me, I'm pretty anti-MAGA.
Obviously.
It's quite corrosive for our country.
Yeah.
I miss the party of Reagan.
No. So Reagan is the one who came up with the phrase "Make America Great Again."
But you would consider me an enemy of.
No, excuse me.
You would consider me
six
to be
presidents shot.
Political assassination.
Six presidents shot.
Seriously.
Excuse me. I'm speaking. 6 presidents shot.
So was I.
5 of them are Republican, 1 Democrat. That tells you that the majority of the political violence comes from the Democrats.
Really? You're going to
if 5 of the 6 presidents shot were Republicans, that tells you that the violence is coming from the Democrats.
No, come on, man. You're going back to Lincoln. Lincoln was
shot. John Wilkes Booth was a Democrat. John Wilkes Booth was a Democrat.
John Wilkes Booth. So who flies Confederate flags nowadays?
I don't know. I don't know anybody who does. All right, appreciate the call. Point made. All right, if you're on hold, stand by. My name's Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show. On the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. Our number, toll-free, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It is a toll-free call no matter where you are listening. If you're new to the program, welcome. You'll love this show if you're new. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Oh, man. Hopefully Steve will be, Steve will probably be back with us tomorrow. He's been under the weather, and I don't see Steve coming on the day after the Super Bowl, unless he won. We'll be right back. All right. Yes, I left out Teddy Roosevelt when he ran for re-election. So we got 7. 6 out of 7 Republican. Did I leave out McKinley too? We'll be back in less than a minute. About 30 seconds. The show's flying by today. You know, most people, it's like the last caller, they're liberal just because they're not educated on the world. They're like these Olympians. They're brainwashed in the public education and university system. All right, the 7 o'clock hour has begun. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. On the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. Of course, we're talking about the incredible halftime show that Turning Point USA put together versus the self-destructive Bad Bunny halftime show. Our number, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yes, good morning, Brian. My name is Robert Butcher. I live in Taylor County, Florida. That's about an hour away from Tallahassee.
Okay.
And if you've been hearing about the state of Virginia, that's where I'm from. And I'm so upset about the new governor of what she's been doing to the
Virginia?
state of Virginia. And I went to school there for 2 years. And I studied somewhat in history, and I'm kind of concerned that how can a far-left Democrat can ruin the state of Virginia, and knowing the fact that Donald Trump, I voted for him 3 times, okay, because I am a conservative, and I'm just upset to the point that he has a lot on his plate. But he needs to point a finger to my state.
Well, Virginia, the problem Virginia has is that the bureaucracy of Washington, D.C. and the deep state live in Northern Virginia. So, you know, there's a lot of states around the country, Virginia, New York, you know, they have 1 or 2 areas where the Democrats live, and they keep those states going blue when the rest of the states are red, right? You know, if you go back to the 1960 election, Kennedy versus Nixon, Nixon won Illinois, really outside of Cook County where Chicago is, and Virginia, I think the governor's term in Virginia is only 2 years, and they got a kind of a weird system there. But because the bureaucracy of government live in Northern Virginia, Virginia is always going to have problems because the left-leaning, Republican-hating, permanent Washington class dominate the statewide politics. That's why we had all that. Remember, we had all those school board problems? They were beating up parents and such a couple years ago with school board meetings in Northern Virginia. That's what it is.
Yes.
So, you know, there's not much you can do about that. If we reduce the size of government and those people have to leave Washington, maybe it'll help Virginia, but that's about it. But you're in Florida now. You're in the great MAGA state of Florida now.
Yes, but I am from the state that I was born in, and I went to school there. But this is the kicker. How can any governor can tax you on everything, just like walking?
Because they're Democrats. Democrats. You ever seen that? You ever seen the movie The Matrix? You know The Matrix?
I have. I think I watched all of them.
Okay, the first Matrix. I'm just talking about the first Matrix. That is a very conservative movie. That's a Republican movie with a Republican message. Remember The Matrix? What Keanu Reeves found out.
Did you take the blue or did you take the red?
No, it's more detailed than that. It's more detailed than that.
Right.
The people in the Matrix were in these tubes where their body heat generated the electricity that powered the Matrix. The way that Democrats in Washington view us, it's the Matrix. Do you know what human beings are to Democrats? Do you know what we are to Democrats? I'm serious. What do you think?
Slavery.
Close.
You know?
Yeah. What human beings are to Democrats, We are living organisms that excrete money to send to them. That's all we are,
But now,
in the form of taxes. That's it. We're a living organism that excretes money to send to them, to spend and get rich off of.
This is another kicker that I want to mention. Say if I robbed a bank and they catch me and they lock me up, why they just can't do that to the politicians? And they take your money.
Because Congress,
and they waste
okay,
it.
here's what happens. Congress makes the laws, right? Congress makes the laws, right?
Uh-huh.
So
Right.
Congress makes the laws so that they can do illegal things. I mean, look right now as an example. Ilhan Omar, right? Her and her husband they went from being negative net worth to being worth $30 million in a couple of years through illegal dealings, probably, including a winery that doesn't exist, right? Congress
So
makes
what
the
was your-
laws so that they can break them. Appreciate the call. That's just the way it is. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Mark. I'm calling from Texas.
Mark in Texas. What's on your mind?
Well, I don't know what the recent topic was because while I was on hold.
Okay. Well, what did you when you
hear the
called
mic
in?
here.
What prompted you to call me?
Well, I wanted to call because I had a problem with your argument about political violence being mostly from the left, considering all of the assassinations are either independent or strictly Republicans, except for Reagan, basically. Like the two guys who shot at Trump were both Republicans.
No, they weren't. No, they weren't. Lies.
Yes, they were. They
The guy-
absolutely were.
the
Look
guy
up,
at
go
the,
to your website. Go to Google.com.
go to
and Google
Google.com.
who the guy was.
Why would Republicans?
Look it up.
Excuse me. Don't. Why would Republicans shoot the Republican frontrunner?
Because some people don't think that Trump did not go far enough with the Epstein files.
Of course,
That's a
yeah,
big
I
issue
know.
with
No.
some Republicans.
The golf course assassin who was just sentenced to life in prison. Okay.
That's the second guy. I wasn't talking about him. I'm talking about the first guy, the guy who got killed.
I'm talking about both of them, but I can't talk about any of them if you don't let me
Yep.
complete a sentence. All right? I tell you, liberals, don't they
Go
teach
for
you
it.
guys
Sure.
how to have conversations anymore? The golf course assassin.
I'm having a conversation, man.
The golf
Go for
course.
it.
Do you only speak when someone else is speaking? I bet you with your mouth open too.
I'm waiting for you to talk.
Yeah.
Listen,
The
man,
golf course-
You're really bad at this, so I'm going to try to help you out.
No, you're
The
not
guy
going
at
to
the
help
golf
me with
course-
anything. You're on hold. The golf
If
course.
he
Excuse
was
me.
either-
If you interrupt me again, I'm going to hang up on you. I'm trying to respond to your
Okay.
nonsense.
Fair
Okay.
enough.
The golf course assassin, who's doing life in prison, and the butler assassin. Both of these guys have a couple of things in common. One, both of them are in BlackRock videos. The golf course assassin was in a BlackRock video about Ukraine. The butler assassin was in a BlackRock video about the teachers union. Both of them have major Ukrainian connections. The butler assassin had multiple cell phones. One of them had phone numbers that he had been calling in Ukraine. The golf course assassin, not only had he been to Ukraine, he was a recruiter working for the government of Ukraine, trying to recruit American veterans to fight as mercenaries for Ukraine. Neither of these guys
I think he was
were
an American,
Republicans. And the butler assassin,
They were
said,
both
excuse me,
American
the
citizens.
butler, well, all the presidential assassins have been American citizens. The butler assassin's parents were Republican. So, just like the Charlie Kirk assassin, his parents were Republican, okay? People's political affiliation has nothing to do with their parents' affiliation.
Sure.
What is
I
that on
agree
your
with
talking
that.
points? Did you want to flip over? You're trying to find the talking point answer to what I said. Both
No,
of
I
these,
still- no, because
both
the
of
point
these
is still
have
that the-
both
that the-
both assassins have Ukrainian connections, BlackRock connections, as well.
That still is not disregarding the point that the only person you can point to as a leftist who does major political violence in American history was the guy who shot at Reagan. And no one else, like the guy who shot at Lincoln, was a Confederate sympathizer who wanted to
A
bring back
Democrat.
the
John
Confederacy.
Wilkes Booth was
The
a
guy who shot-
Democrat.
Oh my God!
He was a
you're that
Democrat.
kind of, like,
John Wilkes Booth was a
The
Democrat.
last history book you read was when you had to read a history book in high school.
I have a degree in history
but
from
back then,
college.
the Democrats
I
were
hold
Confederate
excuse me.
sympathizers.
I hold a college degree in history.
I don't care. I also have a
Well,
college degree, but that means you can still
yeah,
be
well,
wrong about stuff.
Yeah. Well, mine actually did some good. I learned some things.
Democrats, just because they are called Democrats, they are ideologically closer to Republicans today.
Really?
They want limited government.
Lincoln was a Republican. John Wilkes,
That's how much they cared about property
even
rights.
even Lee Harvey Oswald was a communist. He was married to a Soviet citizen who his father-in-law was a Soviet general, so communist, leftist. Even Kennedy was shot by a leftist.
Yeah, and then he killed it. And okay, but then he killed a Democrat president, right? Why would a Democrat kill it if he's a communist? He
What
would
I'm
love
telling you
Democrats
is
by that
the
logic, right?
violence.
Why would he kill Kennedy?
Predominantly, the violence comes from the left. Even right now in Minneapolis, the violence is
about
coming from the
How
left.
about the political violence of the KKK or the police
during the
20th
time,
century?
during the time, okay,
violence on the right.
during the time when the KKK was involved in political violence, they were committing political violence against Republicans. Blacks were Republican
Who
then.
were the liberals back then?
No.
Back then, Republicans
No,
were
they weren't the liberals. They were Democrats.
Of the American
The
institution.
Klan and
the Democrats were
you're talking
conservative.
about the Klan in the 20s through the 60s. They were Democrats who were trying to stop blacks from voting Republican.
Well, the first time it was the
Where'd
70s.
where'd you go to college?
The first instance.
Where'd you go to college?
I went to UT, man.
What's UT? University of Transgenderism?
University of Texas.
What's UT?
University of Texas, man.
Oh, well, I
Listen,
can't
our
believe they're
state's
teaching you
twice
this
the
crap
size
in
of yours,
Texas.
and we will not be underwater
I gotta
in
run for a
100
break, but I appreciate the call. Oh my goodness. Oh, listen, it's the day after the Super Bowl. Did you wake up in pain today? Go see Dr. Philip Appleton. Take advantage of his robotic laser away pain treatment. You know, Dr. Appleton offers free consultations. Go see Dr. Appleton and let Dr. Appleton tell you what his robotic laser away pain treatment can do for you. He's rid me of pain 7 times. With the laser away pain treatment, there's no injections, no drugs, no surgery, no downtime, no pills, no medications. It works on every type of pain I've ever heard of and more. You know, I meet listeners all the time, all over the place. It's a funny thing with listeners who go see Dr. Appleton. And I know when they're coming up to me that they're patients of Dr. Appleton. And the reason I know, when they walk up to me, they all have their hand on a part of their body. Sometimes it's their hip, sometimes it's their neck, sometimes it's their shoulders, their elbow. And they walk up to me with their hand on a part of their body. Sometimes it's their knee. And they're walking up with their knee, a hand on their knee, and they're kind of like bent over. And the reason they do that is they'll tell me, I used to hurt here, and now I'm pain-free. Thanks to Dr. Appleton. I'm glad I listened to you, Brian. Yeah, it happens all the time. His laser away pain treatment works. Call Dr. Appleton. Not only are the consultations free, but appointments are not necessary, and walk-ins are welcome, because Dr. Appleton knows that when you're suffering in pain, you need help and you need it now. Give him a call, 954-973-0710. Stop living in pain. You don't have to. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. We'll be right back. All right, stand by, guys. We'll be back in about 90 seconds. If you're on hold, hang in there. Hold on. Okay, stand by. 22. We've got about 30 seconds and we'll be back. All right. We're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, hello. How you doing, Mr. Craig? I'm Austin from California.
Austin in California. I am doing well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Get ready for my morning. So you're talking about the Super Bowl, right? That's the topic of discussion.
Well, we're talking about this.
Revelations.
We're talking about the great favor Roger Goodell and the NFL did, helping the MAGA movement gain some steam in this midterm election season.
I don't know if it's much of a movement now. I mean, you're wearing the hat of a fucking pedophile.
There we go. All right, first one of the day, Mike. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. I tell you, if you're on hold, stand by while we wait for the delay to re-engage. You know, I wonder, when we talk to liberals, how, what percentage of them do we have to use the dump button for because they use the they use the language? I don't know. Maybe one day we'll do a study on that. You know, one thing about this program, this program, we have always offered something that is so rare. No matter what your political affiliation is, you can call us live on the air and call us out on the carpet on anything, you know, and it's live. And the calls are unvetted and unscreened. And you see, liberals can't handle any privilege. But you know, the thing about the left is they have no arguments. They hardly have a party left. You know, the caller before the break, you know, one of the biggest brainwashing things that the left have been very successful in doing is brainwashing so many people to think that those evil racists that were Democrats all became Republicans and all the good people all became Democrats. They did this party switch, which never happened. And they like to tell you that it happened, but it didn't happen. but they believe it's true. And what happens on this program with liberals when they call in, especially those that are new, for the first time in their life, they're confronted with reality, and they just can't handle it. So they do things like that last caller just did. I saw this story today. I couldn't believe this. Listen to this. Veteran police officer in Georgia fired after telling a biological male to stay out of the women's bathroom. This story is in the Gateway Pundit. By the way, all the stories I cover are on my X, Brian Craig Show on X. If you go to X, you can get all of my show prep. Listen to this. A Georgia police officer who responded to a plea from a mother with 2 kids to ban a man from a public library bathroom has been fired. Former police officer Glenn Weaver was axed from the DeKalb County Police Department, according to the Center Square. This October incident at the Tucker Reed H. Coffer Library in Tucker, Georgia began when a woman with 2 children complained to a security guard that a man was in the bathroom. The man was transgendered and claimed that the officer told him, "That's the women's restroom and you're not a woman." That's obvious. The transgendered person complained. The complaint went through channels. It reached the top of the police department, which sent back down a directive to fire the officer, even though the department has a policy that says a first infraction requires only a reprimand. And I've seen the video of the so-called transgendered person. This transgender bathroom issue, I thought had kind of faded away, but it's really a scary thing, as a husband and as a parent with a daughter. And I know women in this audience, you don't use public restrooms unless you really have to. Women are afraid to go in the public bathrooms. And what you have, like with this when you go to look at the article, they show you the transgender person in question. This having women's hair and women's clothes does not make you a woman. If you go through the entire process, okay, the entire process, and you've gone through the surgery and everything, and you went to use the ladies' room, nobody would even know. But what are people to think? There are a lot of perverts out there who want to get into the women's room. And a lot of perverts over the years have been arrested doing things in women's rooms, right? Now all they have to do is put on a blouse, carry a purse, and say they're a woman, and these people can go into the ladies' room now. So what are people to think? And now things have been totally reversed. It's the cop is fired? Come to Florida, officer. There's a police department in Florida that will hire you proudly. I don't know about Broward County. I don't know, pretty liberal in Broward County, but you can find a job in Florida and you'll do better. I mean, this is just nonsense. It's just complete nonsense. And I'll tell you another thing. If you went into a bathroom, a public restroom, and you were making people uncomfortable, as a decent human, you would wait, wouldn't you, until they were done? Wouldn't you? And if you're trans, I don't consider somebody who just wears women's clothes to be trans, okay? That's like a cross-dresser. Use the family bathroom, okay? Or wait until it's empty and then you go in. And what happens a lot of times, people like this, they like to wait to go in until there are women in there with children so they can cause a commotion. Part of what they like to do to feel validated is for people to get upset. And now they got a police officer fired. It's insane, this world we are in. I want to talk about Coastal Weight Loss Secret. Did you guys overeat for your Super Bowl parties? That's okay. Call Coastal Weight Loss Secret today. Coastal Weight Loss Secret, it works. And, you've heard me talk, guys. I ate foods I would normally eat. I didn't starve myself. I did zero exercise other than running my mouth every day. And I lost about 1 pound a day. Oh, did I mention no shots, no injections, no pills, none of that. And I've kept all the weight off. And I've kept the weight off because I didn't have any major lifestyle changes. No matter how little or how much you want to lose, Coastal Weight Loss Secret can help. Okay, they've helped listeners of ours all over the United States. So no matter where you are, call and schedule your no-charge consultation. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlosssecret.com. We'll be right back. All right, we'll be back in 1 minute. So if you're hanging on the line, hang in there. Oh, man. You know, do you guys agree that the day after the Super Bowl should be a federal holiday? I think it should. I thought that for a long time. It should. It'd be a good day, too. It should be a national holiday. Absolutely. 30 seconds, we'll be back. All right, we're back. Callers on hold. You stand by. We'll go back to the phones in just a bit. There's a couple of the stories I want to mention before we go back to the phones. This one is an unbelievable. By the way, I'll throw this out there to you guys. How many people think the day after the Super Bowl should be a federal holiday? I mean, it really should. You know, it's one of those days that so many people are either hungover, dragging their feet at work, or call in sick. It really should be a national holiday. All this talk, DEI didn't earn it. DEI, it is a rebranding of affirmative action. It's like climate change. They used to call it global warming, and then there were some cold winters, so they reached, we're going to, the cold, that has nothing to do with global warming. We're talking about climate, you're talking about weather, so they changed the name to climate change. Affirmative action's very negative, so they changed it to DEI. Didn't earn it, but it's affirmative action by another name. And we've got some information out, and this one's pretty scary. Any of you fly? Affirmative action quotas in question, which is, DEI, as female minority pilots caused half of pilot error crashes. Daniel Huff, a former White House lawyer, noted in a recent analysis that the drive towards diversity and inclusion in the airline industry has put passengers at risk. We had 2 crashes last year that were high profile that totally evaporated from the news. The military helicopter accident in D.C. and that plane that landed that flipped over. And both of those were female pilots. In an article for the New York Post, Daniel Huff wrote that Donald Trump was right to rescind diversity efforts at the FAA because female and minority pilots, many of whom entered the industry amid a drive toward diversity among pilots, were responsible for half of pilot error crashes. So if the minority is responsible for half of something, that tells you that their responsibility is way out of whack compared to their numbers, right? Despite making up 10% of pilots, they were responsible for 4 out of 8 such crashes since 2000. So 10% of the pilots were responsible for 80% of the crashes. And because you have a 25-year period for the study, that's a scientific study, right? Many years, many years. A few times they occur, it goes on. It's not that women and minorities are inherently unable to fly planes, but in practice, pressure for affirmative action too often leads airlines to lower their standards to meet quotas. The attorney referenced the 2019 Atlas air crash as an example. A black pilot panicked after accidentally initiating a go-around procedure and flew the plane into the ground. There were signs that such behaviors were a risk even as he was training. The simulator exercises, during those, he would get extremely flustered and could not respond appropriately. Even worse, not all diversity-driven safety incidents even reach the public eye. Most diversity disasters leave far from complete paper trails. Training failures happen behind closed doors. Near misses can go unreported, Huff wrote. And because it's not just that the quotas are getting companies to lower their standards, people are afraid of reporting, like if they have a pilot who's a diversity quota, they're afraid to not pass them because they don't want to be branded a racist. Like this cop that wouldn't let the guy go to the ladies' room, got fired. A lot of these flight instructors are afraid if they wash them out, they'll be deemed a racist and be fired. So they do social promotions. It's bad enough when they were doing social promotions in high school and college, but to do it for pilots, whew. Crashes can be blamed on mechanical failure, understaffing, or other politically accepted causes. It goes on and on. Despite Trump's moves to encourage merit-based hiring of pilots and other air traffic personnel, major carriers insist on prioritizing diversity. A senior Delta executive said in a January 2025 talk that they are steadfast with respect to diversity, which is critical to their business. United wants half of graduates to be women or minorities, while Southwest still commits to recruit, hire, and retain a diverse and inclusive workforce. Huff contended that airlines have a moral duty to put passenger safety first. Yeah. Since they lack the courage, the administration needs a strong enforcer to impose merit-first hiring before the next crash, he advised. This is... it's bad enough when affirmative action was used in hiring practices for, school teachers in jobs like this. But when you're talking about an airline, you are putting you and whoever in your family flies life in the hands of these pilots. And these standards have been lowered so much. One of the things, Charlie Kirk got a lot of criticism about this. Think about this. Would you fly on a plane that had paint? They put messages on the side of aircraft all the time. Would you fly on a plane if they had painted on the side of the aircraft, this plane flown by DEI pilots? Would you? If it said this plane flown by and crewed by DEI pilots, would you get on that plane? I don't care anything about the pilot other than that they're a top pilot. And sadly, this has changed. When I have flown and flown even internationally, I always fly on U.S.-based aircraft. And the reason I've always done that, and sadly because of this, it's not the case anymore, but the way it used to operate, if you were flying on a U.S. airline, major airline, the chances were the pilot and co-pilot were military-trained pilots. And that's what you want, right? You want U.S. military-trained pilots because we have the best pilots in the world, and they retire from the military, want to cash out and make a good living with the airlines. You know that they have been trained in every possible, not only trained at the upper level, to get to that training, all the lower level people that weren't qualified got washed out. So only the top pilots become military pilots, and they get the best training in the world in every possible scenario. That's who you want flying on a commercial jet with you and your family. And I've had a lot of friends that told me that. Only fly on American airlines. I don't mean American. I mean airlines that are American companies with U.S. pilots, because most of them are military trained by the U.S. military. Well, that's not the case anymore, And I watch a lot of airline pilots for major airlines all over the world have YouTube channels. And they're more YouTubers than they are pilots, and they show their landings and takeoffs. I watch a lot of these, and some of them go through their stories. A lot of these pilots now come up through local flight schools, not the military, which is very concerning. I used to really like flying those smaller commuter jets. Sometimes I would get on a smaller commuter jet that would fly me to like Charlottesville or something, and they'd be like 40, 50 passenger commuter jets, but I try to avoid that now, because when you do that, you may have some local flight school pilot as opposed to a military pilot. But now with the DEI, it's gotten out of control. And when there were these accidents with DEI pilots, like the helicopter crash in D.C. and the airline crash, wasn't that in Toronto with a DEI female pilot, where she landed kind of crooked and flipped the plane upside down? When it's a DEI hire, they really brush it under the rug and cover it up for a number of reasons. The people involved don't want the affirmative action DEI programs to get the blame, which they are the blame. And they also are afraid people will lose confidence in the airline industry. After 9/11, I used to fly a lot before 9/11, and after 9/11, I've never really gone back to flying as much as I used to. And rarely do I fly sober. I go to the airport lounge, and if you can go to an airport lounge, the drinks are free. So I have a few drinks before I fly, even if I'm flying first thing in the morning, because I just don't like flying. And I finally got over that after many years after 9/11, where I wasn't so afraid. But now with these DEI pilots, it's just as terrifying as ever, right? I mean, it's the kind of terror flying that I felt after 9/11. And I don't think I'm alone in that. And there's a simple solution to it. Only have the best top qualified people make it to become pilots. If they can't make it, let them be flight attendants, okay? Nothing against flight attendants, but I would rather the DEI practices be used for flight attendants and not the pilots, wouldn't you? I could live with DEI hire flight attendants, but not pilots and not mechanics and not air traffic controllers. I want to remind you guys that the mega sale at MyPillow continues with our promo code KANE at checkout, Kane, at MyPillow.com. Now, you know how great all these MyPillow products are. I don't have to tell you, but this I do have to tell you about. It's free shipping on every order during the mega sale right now. Free shipping on every order. This is for a very limited time and will end without notice. So take advantage. Do all your shopping, not just Valentine's, but Mother's Day will be here before you know it. Father's Day will be here before you know it, or maybe just for yourself. And by the way, it's free shipping on every order, no matter how small or no matter how large, whether it's a mattress or you're buying a set of towels. It is free shipping on every order with our promo code KANE at checkout, Kane, at MyPillow.com. You can also order by phone, toll-free, 1-800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879. Promo code KANE, Kane. We'll be right back. All right, we're still in radio station break. We'll be back in just over a minute. If you're on hold, stand by. If you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free, 888-465-2631. It's pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631. All right, hang in there, guys. All right. Let's see here. Okay. Less than a minute, and we will be back. I mean, give me a yes or no in the chat. If you saw on the side of the plane, it said, painted on the side of the plane, this plane flown by DEI pilots, would you get on? Yes or no? Would you get on the plane? Doesn't sound like a very smart move to me. The flight attendants, who cares? But the pilots, no way. No way. All right, we're back. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. My name is Brian. We'll go to the phones. Let's go. Oh, hold on there. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, it's Bob from Pompano Beach.
Hey, Bob, what's up?
Hey, I don't sugarcoat anything. You're so right. I mean, this affirmative action, or what they call it now, DEI, it's just ridiculous. I mean, it starts from the top. I mean, if you remember President Biden when he wanted to pack the court and said, I only want a woman and she has to be black.
Yes.
Okay? And that was with Kajani, okay? Well, if you're not a woman and you're not black and you have more merit than she did with qualifications, you didn't get the job.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
You
That's
know?
the way it works.
And it happened with me back in the 70s when I grew up in Bayside, Queens. I wanted to go to Queens College. I had an 84 average. I come to find out there was an acronym called the SEEK program, where it was for disadvantaged students, minorities, okay? So I found out they accepted the very high students at Queens College at 90% and the very low students, okay?
Yeah.
And I got locked out.
Yeah.
Okay, is that fair? Is that fair? And I worked hard in high school and on merit to get a B+ average.
Yeah.
I mean, are you kidding me with this?
Yeah.
I still remember it after 45, 50 years, and it's not right.
Well, when you talk about the airlines, when half of crashes are from 10% of the pilots, that tells you something. DEI can get you killed.
Absolutely.
That's what it tells you.
But this is the mentality of the country, is like you have a president that did what he did, and nobody said anything about it.
Mm-hmm. That's right. All right, well, appreciate the call.
Yep.
All right, you take care. Have a great day. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Larry from the St. Paul area,
All right.
Apple Valley, Minnesota.
Hey, how's it
Good
going?
morning.
How's it going, Larry?
Not bad. Hey, you're 100% right on that DEI stuff. Nobody wants to work for anything anymore. It's just going to cause people to get hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. Things are going pretty good in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area now. You know, Tom Homan and President Trump have gotten so many of these murderers and rapists out with the ICE deportations. It's made it a much better place to live.
It seems to be a little smoother. I rarely go into the city, though. I try to stay clear of that madhouse.
Well, how can you make it smoother when, you know, the Democrats are attacking federal agents? What are the federal agents supposed to do? Let the murderers and rapists go free?
That's right. Yeah, they need to do something. I'm telling you, it's all out of order up there. I tell you what.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if people start working for what they got, at least sucking their way into the jobs like you did before, you cocksucker.
Yeah, isn't that nice? Boom, boom, boom. Second one of the day, Mike. I was waiting. I knew that guy. Second one of the day. Oh my goodness. That's a new one. I knew he was going somewhere. I just didn't quite know where, and that's one I've not heard before. Oh man, you know, on our control board, I think the dump button is the button that's pushed more than the on and off mic for the microphones. Oh my goodness, you know, I love it. You know what? It's the amount of time that we have to use the dump button because of the liberals. It's almost like a poll, isn't it? It's a poll. And what I mean is, it's a poll of the pulse of the American people. And the Democrats are losing everything. And what's dawned on them is what I opened the show with today. Bad Bunny and Roger Goodell at the halftime yesterday did such a great gift that they gave the MAGA movement. They really did. Because so many people, even on the day after the Super Bowl, which is almost a holiday in this country, people are being red-pilled by the millions, right? 25 million people as of 1 a.m. Eastern Time had watched the Turning Point USA All-American halftime show. And I watched both halftime shows. And what a great halftime show Turning Point USA gave us with Kid Rock. It was amazing. And Jack Posobiec did a good job kicking it off, I must say. And then you look at the Bad Bunny, complete in Spanish. You know, what did they do? They woke people up. And see, the way to look at this, what Roger Goodell did, who's a liberal jerk, just to put it mildly, what they were trying to do, this is what I talked about at the beginning of the show at 6. What they were trying to do with that halftime show last night with Bad Bunny was to try to convince the American people that this country is a Hispanic country now. We certainly were heading that way with what the Biden administration with the autopin was doing. And if Kamala would have become president, you know, Biden brought in 25 million illegals. If Biden was still president, if Trump would have lost or Kamala became president, they would have taken that as approval of what they were doing, and the floodgates would have been opened. Who knows how many illegals they would have brought in the first year of this 2025. They would have 2025 would have been the largest illegal border crossing year probably in history, and we'd have 4 years of it. And we would have come back in 4 or 5 years, and Bad Bunny's America would have been America, where no one speaks English. But Trump won, and the deportations have been going on. And when I talk about Bad Bunny and Roger Goodell giving a gift to the MAGA movement, you know, midterm elections, the reason that midterm elections typically are lost by the party in power is because people get too comfortable and think that they got everything locked up. And that was a big wake-up call. By the end of this week, and it may even be by the end of today, who knows, the Turning Point USA All-American Halftime Show is going to reach 100 million viewers. It's just a matter of when. Will it be today, tomorrow, or Friday? But it will, and I know today's only Monday, guys, but it will hit 100 million or even more because people are going to watch it and rewatch it and watch it again. And, you know, if you watch the Bad Bunny halftime, which I watched this morning online because if I'm going to talk about it and be critical of it, I need to see it. The version of the country that we live in, the reality of it is much different than Bad Bunny's ethnically language segregated Spanish world that he's living in. And that's not the country that we're in. And that's not where the pulse of the American people are. I was sharing earlier that new poll, over 80% of Latinos support voter ID to vote. That means over 80% of Latinos are MAGA in this country. So who's Bad Bunny representing? We've got the majority of the Latino voters on Trump's side. Bad Bunny is representing a minority of Hispanics, not a majority. Now, February is American Heart and National Cancer Prevention Month, and I want to talk to you guys about Life Imaging FLA. Life Imaging FLA is all about preventative health, and Valentine's Day is coming up, and then after that we've got Mother's Day, and then after that we have Father's Day. You know, these are very important family days in this country. Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, and Father's Day. Give your family the gift of your life. All right? Life Imaging FLA, go over there for their heart scan. When you're over there, ask about the cancer screening. They have locations in Broward, Palm Beach, and Dade. I've been hearing from listeners live on the air, on the phones on this program, who have found out that they have major heart issues, some blockage, some other heart issues. One listener even found out when he had the cancer screening that he had cancer. All of them, no symptoms, whether it was the heart or the cancer, no symptoms, and they had these very serious conditions. And because they took my advice and went over to Life Imaging FLA, they caught them before they got worse or they had a heart attack. Call Life Imaging FLA for your free heart scan now with a few minimum requirements, valued at $699. From your cell, call pound 250 and say free heart scan. You'll be connected in seconds. That's pound 250, just say free heart scan, and you'll be connected in seconds. The scan just takes a few short minutes, and you don't have to put on a robe or anything else. I kept all my clothes on, even my watch. All right, so give them a call. All right, if you're on hold, stand by. We'll get back to the phones after the top of the hour. But, you know, you look at this entire weekend with sports, right? We had the halftime show last night, and then we had these American-hating Team USA Olympians that were trashing the ice in the country in Italy on Saturday. That's a big wake-up call for the country. And you know, those Olympic athletes that are trashing the country, they should be removed from the team. They should be removed from the team and have all of their Team USA merch confiscated, including the uniforms. I've never seen such disrespect for the country abroad like that. You know, two of them were attacking ICE. A third Olympian said that gay rights are in danger with Trump. And then there's a fourth athlete who was born and raised in San Francisco, and she's playing for China. She's with the CCP. All of them, those three should be thrown off the team immediately. I looked. We got a break. We'll be back. I lost track of time. I wasn't done with my sentence, but we had the break for the top of the hour. All right. If you're on hold, stand by. We'll get to the calls in just a bit.
Okay, here you go.
All right.
Hello.
Hey there. Hold on one second. Hold on. Let's see what time we're back. All right. You there, Steve?
I am.
Okay. I'm going to put you on hold just for a minute. Okay. Hold on.
Okay.
All right. Stand by, guys. We've got about 90 seconds. All right, Steve, you there?
Yeah.
All right, we got about 90 seconds and we'll be back.
Okay.
All right, I'll stand by. I'll be right back. All right, and the 8 o'clock hour has begun. My name is Brian Craig. You're listening to the Steve Kane Show. Steve Kane joining us after a few days off sick. Hey, Steve, good morning.
A wild Super Bowl last night. Yes, I did have a winner, so I'm all excited about
Oh,
that.
I figured. I knew whether or not you were here today depended on if you won or lost. So
Well, I don't know. I would have been here either way, but it was nice to win. Always nice to win.
Well, I'll tell you who the biggest winner was, though. Was not you. The biggest winner was because of that Bad Bunny halftime show. Was Donald Trump in the MAGA movement for the midterms? Oh my goodness!
The show was magnificent. The All American show was terrific. That's the one I watched.
Oh, the Turning Point one was spectacular. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
With Kid Rock.
With tears to my eyes.
You know, did you see the Bad Bunny halftime show?
No, I didn't. I was caught in a quandary there.
I watched it this morning online before the show. So can I describe it to you a little bit?
Please, I was going to ask you to do that.
Okay. First off, it was in 100% Spanish, so most people couldn't understand it, including me. But there were some visuals, and it started off in some field with farmhands working, and Bad Bunny is a field hand who burst out of whatever farm he's working for on, and burst into song. And then he went through what his version of America is, right? From the illegals working in the fields to a street vendor selling food on the sidewalk to a jeweler that was selling rings and things. It was very strange. And, of course, this was all in Spanish, so it might as well have been a silent movie to me because I couldn't understand what was being said. And between going from street vendors and the fields with the illegals, he had his hand between his legs, grabbing himself the whole time. So I don't know what that was all about. But it was, I watched it because I thought, well, how can I talk about it and be critical if I don't watch it? So I watched it before the show. And I, of course, watched, like you did, the Turning Point USA All-American halftime show. And other than Kid Rock, I had not heard of any of those acts or any of their songs. I've never heard any of their music, and the only one
But they were great. The music was great. Didn't you like the All-American version?
Oh my goodness! They knocked it out of the park. And maybe I'm wrong about this, but I'll ask you because you're a big music fan. I know. When you hear these musicians that you've never heard of and not heard any of their music, and it knocks it out of the park to you, like this is incredible. That tells you it is top-tier musical talent every step of the way.
I was transfixed. It was absolutely magnificent. In fact, it motivated me. I think I'm going to go home after the show later today and watch for the 14th time Nashville, the movie, Robert Altman, the greatest American movie of all time.
Yeah.
And if you like country music, that's the movie to look at.
That I don't even, other than Kid Rock, I don't even know their names, but I'm going to know them by the end of the day and get the music. The first guy that started, he was incredible. I'm not even a big country music fan, and I was like, wow, this is like a great. Yeah, it was.
They were magnificent. Yeah,
it was. It was, and
brought tears to my eyes.
It was, and I don't know. Would you? I guess doing the event in itself was political because it was a response to what Roger Goodell did with the NFL. But the music, the two halftime shows show you two different viewpoints of America because the Turning Point All-American, the TPUSA, Turning Point USA All-American halftime show was American rock music and American country music. And even though Bad Bunny is Puerto Rican, which makes him an American, his audience is not an American audience, right? His audience is a foreign Spanish-speaking audience. And the way I took that is, what I was talking about earlier before you joined us, is what they were trying to do is convince us that America has changed, that those of us that support Trump, that are MAGA, that are Republican, that speak English, that we're a minority, and the country is now a Spanish-speaking country. That's what I took the whole NFL halftime show was trying to present.
That sounds pretty close.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was. I think it was a big error on their part. I think that they really, because I saw online this morning, Steve, a lot of the people that paid thousands of dollars for Super Bowl tickets filmed on their phones the halftime show, what was going on in the stands during the halftime show.
Right.
People were not dancing or cheering. They were standing, I guess, to stretch their legs during the halftime, but they were in silence. It was almost like a stadium-wide silent protest. And if you see the halftime show, you're going to hear applause and cheers. That's not from the stands. That's from the dancers, or they piped it through on the speakers. The people in the stands that were filming, they were standing there in silence. They knew that it was coming, but I don't think they realized it was going to be 100% in Spanish. I thought it was going to be in Spanglish, where there was English and Spanish.
I think the ultimate test, I think, is going to be whether it becomes a recurring event every Super Bowl.
It will. It will.
I think so. I think it was a big hit.
Yeah,
I think it was great.
And not only that, see, I had this idea, Steve. President Trump, are you back with us, Steve? Did I lose you?
I don't know.
I got you. I heard a clip, but I got you. President Trump is bringing the rallies back for the midterms, and he's going to rally like he would during the presidential election season. So it's going to be nonstop rallies going on, right? Wouldn't it be great if the opening act was the Turning Point USA All-American halftime show for the Trump rallies, like we saw last night? The rallies would go, we would have the biggest Trump rallies we've ever had if they did that. It would be spectacular.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. Well, you were under the weather last week, but you sound all better now.
Yes.
You want to take some calls?
Sure, let's do it.
All right. I want to warn you, the liberals have been unglued today.
I've been listening.
Yeah, they've been unglued. Yeah. All right. So just in advance. All right, let's go.
When are they not unglued?
Well, today, I think it dawned on them that this Bad Bunny halftime show was a major mistake by the Never Trumpers. And this isn't the way this Monday was supposed to be. Right? Yeah, because we've been busy on the dump button today. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Philip. I've called before.
Where are you calling from?
Australia.
Oh, hey, Australia. You're on the air.
Yeah, I'm going to be very quick. But when I watched the halftime thing on YouTube, and it's all Latinos and stuff like that singing and doing that, nothing against them, God bless them. But, do you think because of all the influx of the immigration stuff that's going on, that they chose these Latinos, whatever, because they're more, I don't know, maybe Democrats are running the Super Bowl, I don't know, but I just thought, I don't know, that's what I thought. I don't know what your idea is on it, but
I don't really understand. I don't understand the question. I don't understand what you're asking.
Well, usually they have English singers and stuff like that.
Yes, English-speaking singers. That helps, yes. To an English audience, you typically have the English speakers, yes. That is true.
They did have Lady Gaga, but I'm just wondering if it has anything to do with the whole ice thing and stuff like that. That's why they put...
Okay, yeah. You're in the land down under, so you're not up to speed. Yeah, Bad Bunny, who's Puerto Rican, which is a U.S. territory, so he is a very vocal anti-ICE person. So he was chosen to perform there to make a stance against ICE. That is true. All right, appreciate the call. We have a lot of listeners, Steve, in Australia. We really should, maybe we should do an appearance in Australia sometime. You want to go down there with me?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, maybe we'll do a cruise out of Sydney. All right, I'm going to put you and everyone on hold. And, I want to tell everyone about Jamie Levac over at Swift Tax. It's tax season, and Jamie Levac can help you with your taxes no matter where you are located. He's located in Broward County, but you don't have to go to his office even if you're local. You can handle everything over the phone with Jamie Levac. But no matter where you are in the United States, Jamie Levac at Swift Tax can help you with your taxes. Give him a call, 954-773-1587. You can call or text. This number rings directly to Jamie Levac, 954-773-1587, 954-773-1587. We'll be right back. see. Okay. All right. Okay. If you're on hold, stand by, guys. Okay, we'll be back in 90 seconds, guys. 90 seconds, we'll be back. All right, we have just over 30 seconds. All right, Steve, you there?
Yes, I am.
We got 30 seconds.
Okay.
All right, we're back. It's the Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian. Steve Kane is here. You know, at 1 a.m. was the last official count I saw for the views of the Turning Point USA halftime, and it was at 25 million. And that did not include the TV numbers. So,
is there any contrasting number with the other show?
Well, the other one, the only numbers I've seen include the whole Super Bowl. Right? So I haven't seen any isolated Super Bowl halftime numbers. So there is nothing to compare it to right now. But I'm sure there will later today. But see, the thing with the Turning Point halftime show is that viewership is going to grow as the day goes on and the week goes on. Because everyone's...
especially if it becomes a regular feature of the halftime show.
Oh, I'm sure
that's
it will.
The main thing as to whether I would think so.
I would think so. I would think so. Yeah, it's gonna. But we're gonna hit 100 million on that Turning Point. If not today, certainly by the end of the week, it's gonna hit 100 million. It could happen today. It's hard to say. You know, the day after the Super Bowl is the closest to an American holiday as you can have. You know, I mean, there's not as many cars on the road, and you know, a lot of people call in sick today or have the day off. But by today, tomorrow, the next day, whatever the number today is on the Turning Point halftime is going to be many times that. And that's like a poll. You know, it's a hard thing. You got to go out of your way to see it. You can't compare the numbers of that to the Bad Bunny halftime because you've got, you know, over 50 years of American tradition watching that, right? You know, and it's on in every sports bar and every television every year. You just can't compare that halftime numbers to the Turning Point.
And if the ratings include the ratings of the game, it's it's not a fair contest.
No, there's no way to really do that. And by the end of the week, whatever the numbers they give us, by the end of the week, I would guess the Turning Point will come close to equaling or even have more over the course of the week, because so many people are not only going to watch it, they're going to share it on their social media. You know, it's the Bad Bunny is a one-time thing. Last night, a little bit today, people will watch it, not that many. But the Turning Point, there's a buzz about it. Oh, I missed that. I got to go see it. Wow, these guys are amazing. Let me watch it again. It's that good. And the halftimes that they put up there, most of them are kind of, this one was a special, Roger Goodell giving the middle finger to America. But I've never seen such a positive buzz about a halftime show as I've seen with the Turning Point Kid Rock halftime show. Never. There's been halftimes with controversies, you know, like the one where Michael Jackson was surrounded by young children. That was controversial. Or Janet Jackson with the
they
shot.
may use that as an excuse not to run it a second year.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, I'm going to go back to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, I'm Sam. I'm calling from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Hey, Samuel. What's up?
Hey, I just wanted to call and say that I understand what you're doing, but I mean, the hat itself, I just feel like that goes against, I mean, what our Constitution is based off of.
You're talking about my Trump 2028 hat? What, you know, the First Amendment, freedom of speech and expression, goes against the Constitution?
It is. No, it doesn't. That doesn't innately. But the idea that a government can be so tyrannical that it can arch a founded constitutional activity.
Term limits for president is not founded. No, we didn't have term limits till the 50s. That's not a founding principle.
It isn't founding. You are correct. It isn't founding. It was made so that too many, like certain people couldn't hold power.
Yeah, well, here's my confusion. My Trump 2028 hat, you say, goes against the Constitution, but the First Amendment of the Constitution, which is a founding principle, talks about free speech and free expression. So I don't understand why my hat is unconstitutional when it's my free speech and expression. How can my free speech and expression be unconstitutional?
Your free speech and First Amendment activities are not unconstitutional. It is, however, a little bit of a misnomer because, like I said, term limits, they are a thing. And, like, I just thought that, you know...
Who was in that show last night that's term limited?
Well, he doesn't like... I'm wearing a Trump 2020... I'm wearing a Trump 2028 hat, which it's giving him nightmares that President Trump will have a third term. I understand, you know.
Well, he has good reason to be concerned about that.
Yeah. All right, hey, guy, I appreciate the call. All right. Oh, my goodness. Yep. You know, there's I tell you, the one thing about the Super Bowl, I can tell by the liberals, they were drinking a lot, because I'm getting calls from a lot of hungover liberals today, Steve. I don't think we've talked to a single liberal that was with it. All right, you want to take some more? You want to take some more calls?
Sure, go ahead.
All right, here we go. Yeah, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Once, twice. Okay. They thought better of it. I told you, Steve, the liberal, you know, what's happened is if you follow the news in the aftermath, because the main story in the news today is the Bad Bunny versus the Turning Point halftime shows, right?
And the kidnapping.
Well, let's talk about that too in a minute, okay? But because we haven't talked about that at all, so I'm curious your theories on it. But if you follow the press coverage of the two halftime shows, all the Bad Bunny stuff is negative. And the Turning Point, you know, that Turning Point could have been a disaster, not just viewer-wise. When I saw who the acts were, I'd not heard of any of them. If the musical acts didn't knock it out of the park so well, it would have been a disaster. So the press coverage has been positive for the Turning Point halftime, negative for the Bad Bunny. And I think it's having an effect on the liberals in our audience, because they're just, this is not the way this Monday was supposed to be for them. I guess they all seem a little off. All right, let me take another call. Can we talk about the kidnapping after the bottom of the hour? Because you and I haven't talked about that, and I got some theories, and I'm sure you do. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, gentlemen. Chris from Pompano Beach.
Oh, hey, Chris.
Hey, Chris. How are you? Long time no hear.
Absolutely, yeah. Glad to hear you nice and healthy and contributing. I know you guys are looking forward to that cruise coming up.
Oh, are you kidding? I can't wait.
That's for sure.
But yeah, before I put my 2 cents in on the the bad decision they made regarding the halftime show, I wanted to comment on that one, that last attempt of the caller about, the president. First of all, everyone in America should want the President Trump to have a lifetime appointment because he's doing such a good job.
Absolutely.
And we need it.
Absolutely.
And I wish it was like a Supreme Court thing, a lifetime, and like a Pope, and that's it. But you really should be more concerned about term limits for those senators that are there forever ruining the country, like Schumer, or those that were in the House of Representatives for like 30 years, like Barney Frank ruining, those liberals. But yeah, but you mention that, and they'll start crying and screaming. You're ready for them to push back.
Well, the callers that we have that the Trump 2028 hat triggers, they're mostly men who obviously have father figure issues. They have daddy issues. And Donald Trump, I guess, reminds them of their fathers. There were rules and consequences and, and expectations. And they're just channeling their daddy issues onto President Trump, kind of like Rosie O'Donnell.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And thanks to liberals, we have entirely too many family and daddy issues. But yes. you can't convince them of that, even though it's right there in their face every day.
Yeah.
But but that halftime show, you're right. I mean, obviously we watch the Kid Rock and that nice programming. But I mean, listen, diversity. I know they try and do well with entertainers, but 100%. Why come they couldn't do 50-50, like a little bit of salsa, Latino, whatever? But that was ridiculous, and that was a bad move.
I wonder. Did Kid Rock? Did he choose the talent for that Turning Point halftime show? Whoever chose the performers did a masterful job because they were all spectacular, and I'm sure there were probably there was probably a lot of pressure to bring in like some well-known names, and they, and I'm not saying that these aren't well-known people. I mean, what I'm talking about are names that we would all know, like some of the older.
Well, they're well-known in the country world, I'm guessing.
Yeah, but what I mean is, those were new acts. They weren't like old acts that are famous. You know what I mean? And whoever brought in that lineup just did it, and it was great. I mean, it was just perfect. It was a perfect lineup.
Worked out very well. Just goes to show you, and. Yeah, I mean, that was a bad move by the NFL, but I mean, goodness, that was an in-your-face kind of deal. Mm-hmm. But,
Yeah, listen, we got to run for the bottom of the hour, but hey, Chris, good to hear from you. Take it. All right, Steve, I'm going to put you and everybody on hold. We'll take our break for the bottom of the hour, but before we do that, I want to talk about the Sloman's Home Security free home security system with free professional installation and 24/7 central station monitoring offer. You get all that for just $24.95 a month for 5 years. Your Sloman's home security system includes a touchscreen keypad, 3 door or window sensors, a motion detector, notifications, and remote keypad access. You can get all that for just $24.95 a month for 5 years. Give them a call right now, 833-283-5050. 833-283-5050. That's 833-283-5050. We'll be right back. Steve, you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, we got 1 minute.
Okay. Is William?
No, that's the next break.
Okay. Make sure I get it in the studio.
Yeah. All right, 30 seconds. All right. Yeah, the Democrats that are calling today are brain dead. I mean, they're in shock. All right, you there, Steve? All right, stand by. All right,
I'm here.
15 seconds.
Oh.
We're back. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. I'm Brian Craig. Steve Kane back with us after a week off in the sick ward. Back with us. But today you're well, but our liberal callers, they seem pretty sick mentally on the phones today. Yeah. I mean, it's just
removed from reality.
I almost feel bad. You know, I feel like their calls are almost a call for help. Almost feel bad. Emphasis on almost. All right, you want to take...
That's what we're here for.
That's right. Oh, my goodness. You want to take some more calls?
Sure.
All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian. This is Charlie from Palm City, Florida. Good morning.
Hey, Charlie.
Hey, Charlie.
Hey. I just wanted to add, I walked inside to get a cup of Java and heard on Newsmax that 45% of Democrats are for voter ID.
Yes. Yeah. And over 80% of Latinos support voter ID to vote, and over 70% of African Americans support state-issued photo ID to vote. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people have common sense, but there's a portion of Dems that don't. That's what I'm figuring out.
No, the Dems know.
I love you too.
The Dems know why they don't want voter ID. They know why. Who would be opposed to that?
Well, they don't want ID, period.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
They don't want ID. Yeah, I know exactly. And the reason that blacks and Latinos want it overwhelmingly, it's 83% of Latinos want state-issued photo ID. 83% of Latinos. Think about that. And it's 75 or 76% of blacks. We're in a MAGA country. This is not Bad Bunny's country. This is a Trump nation, not a Bad Bunny nation.
Well, I grew up in New York, and my parents were conservatives. I taught school for 1 year. A bunch of liberals left teaching, went into sales, which is pretty much like teaching.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Love your show, brother. I'd never miss it.
All right. Take care. You have good taste in radio shows, I'll tell you that. All right. Yeah, man. Let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
IB in Broward. Good morning.
Yes,
IB. How you doing?
Hey, Uncle Steve, man. Nice to have you back. Hey, Steve, what month did you put in the bet on the Seahawks? What month did you do that? How did you predict that?
I did it the weekend. They were the defensive team. And it looks to be a defensive game.
I see. Yeah, I agree with Richie. It was one-sided. Brian, you wanted me to call in about the halftime show, but you did a pretty good job by watching it this morning. So I don't think there's much to say about it. But my first take on it was the opening in the cane fields reminded me of, they wanted us to say that, hey, we're all slaves. We all came from slavery. We should be as one, is what he's saying. I took it as cotton field, the cotton field. And as he goes through the street and doing his songs, he's looking at, it's only Latino culture that we were looking at there. Only Latino culture, okay?
You know, there's that one part where Bad Bunny goes to that street vendor that's selling jewelry, and he gets a wedding ring, and he looks at it. Was that fake? Was that like fake jewelry? No. Because he was looking at it like there was something wrong with the ring.
No. I think that's just the theater, because then he give it to like someone on the street, a couple, and the guy proposes to his wife.
Yes.
So it's just like it's just all visual crap. As for grabbing the groin, that's all like just gangster stuff, like they should do in rap, because you know Jay-Z is the one in control of this, and that's all gangster, if you know what I mean. Why he's grabbing his crutch.
Okay.
And the women is totally disgusting for getting all the children watching with their families and the dads and such. I saw it as a professional twerk, like they're competing against other people. That was overkill, okay? And Trump post says it best. It was a slap in the face to America.
Yes.
And as for the Chris Rock, I didn't know. I only saw that guy one time, but I no. The guy, the country singer, I only saw him one time before.
Yeah.
And I love the combination of the country and a little bit of heavy metal in there, and a little metal in there. That was awesome.
Well, Kid Rock is kind of like I forgot what they name it, the hillbilly rock kind of thing. It's not like rock and roll. He does like a hillbilly country style of rock. Kid Rock. I always thought, I could be wrong.
Yeah,
all right,
that was awesome.
but you know, IB, you began this call by saying there's not much to say about the halftime show, and then you're saying all this stuff. So which is it? I don't know.
No,
all right, figure that out. All right, appreciate the call. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello.
Yes, you're on the
Hello?
air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, hey, this is Al. I'm calling from Baltimore. I just want to say you're probably the biggest faggot I've ever seen.
Really?
And
Wow.
that Uncle Tom.
Yeah, that's nice. I appreciate that. Hey, it's nice to be the biggest of something. Before we move on, while we're waiting, I think that is the fourth dump of the day, Mike. Oh my goodness. You know, usually, the day after, Steve, when we have liberal callers that are unhinged, like we've had all morning long, that to me is one of the most scientific of polls ever. I tell this to people often. When the Democrats are winning, they don't call in angry. They call in laughing at us, right, Steve? And we've had one deluded Democrat after another on the program today, which tells us one thing and one thing only, that Bad Bunny did not do the job that they expected him to do. I want to talk about Coastal Weight Loss Secret while we're waiting for the delay to re-engage. Coastal Weight Loss Secret's amazing. I lost over 35 pounds, but if you want to lose 235 pounds, 435 pounds, or even more, they can help you as well. And remember, with Coastal Weight Loss Secret, there's no pills or injections. It's all natural. That's why I look natural and look great. And I see some of these people like Kelly Osbourne is the one I'm talking about lately, because Kelly Osbourne's on a press junket right now. And I don't know which one of those shots or pills she's taken, but she does not look good. With Coastal Weight Loss Secret, you'll look like you want to look. You'll look great and perfect, like I do. I got my square jaw back, got my neck back, got a flat stomach. I weigh what I weighed 29 years ago. Call Coastal Weight Loss Secret. They can help you lose weight no matter where you are located, and schedule your no-charge consultation. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300, and online, coastalweightlossecret.com. So, Steve, did you have a theory on the Savannah Guthrie kidnapping?
Well, yeah. I mean, when it first happened, in the earliest stages of it, I was kind of suspicious. I think it's somebody in the family, or very, very close to the family. And when you get right down to it and you listen to all the specifics and the choices that it could be, I think it's I got my eye on the brother-in-law.
And the cops do, too. Over the weekend,
he was the last one to see her, by the way, the brother-in-law.
Yeah.
Last one to see her alive.
There were big developments over the weekend. First, the local sheriff, they got a warrant and confiscated the sister and son-in-law's car. And then 2 days later, Saturday night, late night, they came back to the house and did a massive investigation inside the house that went on for 3 hours. So they had some evidence, because they when they got the car, they got a warrant. Families don't need warrants when they're looking for their missing mom. They just come look at my car, please weed me out so you can get onto the real people. But for them to get a warrant to confiscate the car, they had to have some evidence that they presented to a judge. And then to go back to the house, they must have found something in the car. And I was watching the news footage. They were in front of the sister's house Saturday night, and it was dark, and so you could see the flashlights inside the house that the police were using.
Yeah, they were shooting pictures in the flash.
Yeah, and it looked like they were in the garage. So they must have found, I'm assuming, blood or something in the garage. They found it seemed to me that the flashes and the lights were in the garage at the sister's house, and yeah, my first thought was, though, they're 50 miles from the border, and Savannah Guthrie and her mother are big never Trumper liberals. I was assuming it was like a illegal Mexican kidnapping, because Mexico.
Well, I think don't rule that out. I mean, that's part of my theory.
Yeah. Kidnappings are big in Mexico. Big in Mexico.
Yeah.
You know, it's a big crime, and you know, if that's the case, who knows? But I still lean towards the sister and the son-in-law, because the sister she doesn't look normal in the video. She doesn't look like Savannah Guthrie and the brother in the video. A lot of people have commented on this. The sister looks like she's faking grief, to me. I mean, I could be wrong, but there's, you know, usually when someone's murdered, we don't know there's been a murder yet, but when there's a murder, it's almost always somebody in the immediate circle. It's rarely somebody from the outside that does a murder. You know, and over 90%, and most murders are because of sex or money. And, you know, so yeah, obviously with everything we've seen. All right, let's, the delay is re-engaged, so we'll try again. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, this is Derek calling from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. How you doing?
All right.
Hey.
Hey, so I'm calling. I got a few points I'd like to bring up. And by the way, it's good always talking with you. Hope you and your family's doing well. Yeah, so like when I watch the Super Bowl and I seen the halftime show was coming up, I turned on Turning Point USA. Great, phenomenal show. That's the halftime show we definitely needed.
Spectacular.
But when the analysis I kind of have, though, is the actual halftime show on YouTube for the NFL is showing 10 million views right now. And Turning Point USA is pushing 20 million, nearly double the views.
Yep.
But my first point is, how many of those views do you think are actually from people that are feeling bad for the halftime show? There's like, they heard how bad it was and they were just curious.
Yeah, a lot of rubbernecking.
Like sympathy views.
And turning. Yeah. There's, well, like I had to watch it so I could talk. I can't watch it. I can't talk about it unless I've seen it. And
right.
and the Turning Point was on multiple platforms. Although there was some controversy, Elon Musk would not allow the Turning Point halftime on X, and there's been no explanation given. They've said something about copyright or something, but didn't give any specifics.
Do you think that if there was more publicity for it going up to it, because we know a lot of the information is suppressed by the liberal media, but do you think if there was a little bit more outreach to try to tell people about it, that it could have potentially rivaled the NFL's views?
It will by the end of the week. Well, I'll tell you, Steve doesn't even use the internet, and he watched it. So I don't, you know, yesterday morning, Sunday morning, I heard Andrew from Turning Point. He was on Fox, and I could tell he was nervous. He was there to promote it, and I could tell he was nervous that they wouldn't have the views that they were hoping for. And then I saw him with Brian Kilmeade last night, and he was so excited. That's when they announced they had over the 20 million, you know, before midnight last night.
Right.
See, the thing with, you can't compare the numbers to the Bad Bunny one, because, I mean, what number Super Bowl was this last night?
60.
60. So you got 60 years of a television habit where it's on every television in America, every sports bar in America, right? So the game. So so the numbers are not really accurate. For whatever number they give us for the Bad Bunny halftime won't really be accurate, because they're on the coattails of a 60-year television habit in the country. You can't compare. For them to come out of the gate with these kind of numbers is historic. It really is.
Right.
When you had to go through, yeah, go ahead.
there's a side point that I kind of wanted to bring up too, that actually speaks to it a little bit and to the halftime show. First off, the Super Bowl started off with Green Day, which we know is anti-government, and every song they sung was from American Idiot, which was definitely a bash towards Republicans because it was all about hate towards the Bush administration. But that's the story for another day.
The first Bush.
Yeah, that was the first blow. But in recent years, there's been some controversy about the NFL being scripted. Do you think the Patriots losing, and I'm not a Patriots fan, I'm just an objective observer, do you think that played into the script of
what do you mean? You mean are the games fixed?
How so? What's your theory?
Well, because we kind of came out with this anti-American kind of message, starting off with Green Day.
That's Roger. Listen, we got to run for the break because we're late. Roger Goodell is a well-known liberal jerk, and he scripted this to be an anti-Trump thing. Green Day made a tragic error. They could have had a comeback if they would have come out with pro-Trump music. Their audience is my age. Green Day's audience is MAGA, whether they know it or not. And I bet you.
Well, they were trying to avoid charges of being biased or trying to stir things up.
Yeah.
They had to be a little bit careful.
Well, listen, I got to run. We're very late for the break in the Gold Report. So I'm sorry to cut you off, caller, but call back again. Steve, I'm going to put you on hold. We'll be right back. I lost track of time. We were very late. Oh, my goodness. If you're on hold, stand by. I shouldn't have taken that call before the break. Hey there, I'll put you on hold just for a moment. I'll be right back with you. Stand by. All right, Steve?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to conference William, and we got just over a minute, so stand by. Hold on. All right.
Sure.
William, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, we're a little behind schedule. I'm sorry. We have 1 minute. We'll be back.
Okay.
I lost track of time. I shouldn't have taken that call before the break, Steve. I just lost track of time. All right, stand by. Less than a minute. We'll be back. Okay, 15 seconds. All right, we're back. I'm Brian. Steve's here. It's time to check in with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated with our first gold and precious metals report of the week. William Youngerman, how are the metals starting the week off?
Metals starting off upward, just as they ended last week. Last week we saw gold close at $4,966 on Friday. That was up $189.50 after trading as high as $4,972. Silver gained $6.88 on Friday, closing at $77.69 the ounce, while platinum was up $113 at $2,099. And palladium gained $52 at $1,682. The rally continues for gold and silver this morning. Gold up $34 right now at $5,000 per ounce.
Wow.
Silver up $1.51 at $79.20. Gold did trade as high as $5,047 so far overnight. Platinum up $21 at $2,078, and platinum down $21 at $2,078, and palladium down $19 at $1,663. So gold and silver continuing to dominate the metals group and proving to be very strong still this week.
Yeah, you know, when it comes to gold and silver, what are your buy recommendations now in both?
Pretty much anything and everything. You can pick and choose what you want. We have everything in stock for immediate delivery, and there's a good selection of the silver bars and all of the different government coins, which are great value. Silver eagles have gone up premium-wise, as we warned everybody they would. Those are up practically twice what the premium normally is on those. So people are maybe holding back on the silver eagles right now, but taking advantage of the other government-issued coins.
Yeah, yeah. Well, listen, William Youngerman opens up at 10 a.m., and this is just amazing numbers. We're at numbers I just didn't think we'd see for years. I mean, we're in such a great place. Give William Youngerman a call. He opens at 10 a.m., 1-800-327-5010, 1-800-327-5010. Stop in. He's located at 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca, which is on the first floor of the Bank of America building, immediately east of US 1 Federal Highway, on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. On the first floor of the Bank of America building. And online, WilliamYoungerman.com, you can find both his address and phone number, WilliamYoungerman.com. And don't forget your Valentine's shop. William, what are some of the things you have available that are great Valentine's Day gifts, apart from the gold and silver coins and such?
Yeah, we have great jewelry items for Steve Kane listeners. You have to ask to see them because we only wholesale them. But to our Steve Kane listeners, we make all of our gold and sterling silver jewelry available to our listeners. And it's for mostly just the gold and silver value. You can buy these beautiful jewelry items.
All right. All right, William, we'll touch base tomorrow.
Okay, have a great day. Thank you.
All right, take care. You know, Steve, the Savannah and Guthrie mother kidnapping / murder. I mean, do you think the mother's dead or alive, Steve?
Oh, she's dead.
Really?
She's been dead for a while. Of course, she was medication that she required to stay alive, and she's been off it for over a week.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, so.
Plus, if you look at this, if you look at her face when she was making that last statement for the ransom thing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you can see it in her face.
Yeah, she knows. She's like, it's like impossible. Yeah. Well, they haven't given any proof of life. You know what I'm wondering? The prime suspect is obviously the son-in-law, and so there's a couple things about that I wonder is. If it is the son-in-law, who obviously the police think they're the prime suspects, that's why they confiscated the car and then went into the house on Saturday night. If it's the brother-in-law, the first mystery I have is that I wonder, was the sister in on it, or is she just covering up for what her husband did at this point, or was the sister in on it?
My guess would be that she's not in on it, but
yeah.
You can't tell. She definitely was in. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's hard to tell for sure.
It is hard to tell, and you know the couple things. Then I wonder, the ransom note. It's $6 million in Bitcoin. So, at this point, if it is, no matter who it is, but if it's the son-in-law. Is the $6 million ransom real? Meaning, are they just putting, if it's the son-in-law, is he putting out this $6 million ransom in Bitcoin, crypto, as a kind of diversion to try to get the eyes off of him?
I haven't heard them comment on that issue.
Yeah, because in a high-profile case like this, how do you, if you get the money, no matter what form it is in, and you somehow manage to get possession of the money without getting caught doing it, and things are so high-tech today, I don't buy that if it's the son-in-law that he could get the money in Bitcoin and not get caught. You can't spend the money, because if you got away with getting the ransom and they didn't catch you getting the ransom, if you start spending the money, they got you, right? So there's no way that if it's the son-in-law, that he could get the money and get away with spending it at this point. It's impossible. So, you know.
You would think.
Yeah. But, you know, I was talking with my wife about this, and it, you know, a lot of people wonder, why would someone think they could get away with this with such a high-profile case? And, you know, my guess is, you know, people, when they conspire to do something like this, they get in this bubble, and I don't think they think too far ahead of the consequences, right? They think it can happen. I don't think they realized how much heat was going to come down, you know? And maybe they didn't realize how famous Savannah Guthrie was and how much attention that she'd bring to it. And she's so well connected, you know.
Well, I think that's why they picked her.
Yeah, Senator Kelly over the weekend, who's about to get demoted by Pete Hegseth, injected himself into the story over the weekend. He lives in that town. Senator Kelly, soon to be demoted, and Gabby Giffords, they live in that town. And before this story was known to the news, Savannah Guthrie called him to see if she could help him. He was talked to the press over the weekend. But, this is really, I feel like this is such a public service announcement to our audience, because I'm hearing so many stories from our listeners. You know, February is American Heart and National Cancer Prevention Month. And of course, I'm talking about Life Imaging FLA. And, you know, we were talking with William Youngin about Valentine's Day. And then we have Mother's Day, followed by Father's Day. You want to give the gift of life, your own life, to your family on these important days: Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day. And all of I've heard from many of our listeners over the phones who have found out they have tumors, major heart conditions, including major blockage, all these conditions. Many different conditions have been found through the scans over at Life Imaging FLA from our audience. But there's been one consistent thing with all of them. All of them had zero symptoms of any heart trouble or cancer. All of them had zero symptoms, but still they found out that they had problems of differing degrees. Some of them major blockage. And it's really amazing, Steve, in particular with blockage and these heart conditions, how people have no symptoms. And then they go in for the scan and find out they got a major problem or cancer. Life Imaging FLA has locations in Broward, Palm Beach, and Dade County. When you're over there, make sure you ask about the cancer screening too. I've had both of these scans. They take just a few short minutes. You don't have to get undressed. I wore my clothes, even kept my watch on, okay? Call Life Imaging FLA for your free heart scan now with a few minimum requirements valued at $699. From your cell, call pound 250 and say free heart scan. You'll be connected in seconds. That's pound 250. Just say free heart scan. You'll be connected in seconds. Well, that's about all the time we have for today. We have just over a minute left. But my guess is, Steve, on the Bad Bunny thing, that's going to be a massive backfire for the left. Massive backfire.
I think it already is.
Yeah, it is. As you could tell from the callers. I mean, it's just boom. You know. Yeah. And by the way, I know we don't have much time, but you said you made your bet on the Super Bowl over the weekend. You usually make your bet at the beginning of the season.
Well, I lost my season bets, so I was betting on a tab.
Oh, you were betting to try to recover what you were going to lose.
Winning this bet, it broke me even for the whole season.
Oh, there you go. All right. Okay. I'll believe you.
So you can't complain about that.
Exactly.
Not a good entertainment for nothing.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's what professional gamblers like you do. You know how to do it. Most people like me, if I were a gambler, I would just be a loser. I wouldn't know how to hedge my bets like that. But no, the Bad Bunny halftime, big backfire. The Turning Point USA All-American halftime show, a big victory. And, you know, their only hope is if they find the mother today, it'll lessen the damage they did with Bad Bunny because it'll hijack the news cycle. Otherwise, it's all going to be about how bad. All right, that's all the time we have for today. We'll see you tomorrow at 6 a.m. It's the Steve Kane Show. Steve, sir, I'm Brian. See you then. Okay. All right, Steve, I'll talk to you later. All right, take care. If you're new, make sure that you subscribe, okay? This is most definitely where MAGA comes to talk. The show flew by today. I mean, it's been 3.5 hours. The show... I feel like I just came on the air. And some pretty good calls today. But I think you guys would agree, the liberal callers, did they sound depressed today? Nah. And why did they sound depressed? Because Bad Bunny backfired on them. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. And please like the video. Liking the video helps get the video recommended to people that have not yet found the channel. So please, before you go, like the video, all right? My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.